Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series live from Dover International Speedway. Will Vincent currently waiting for Doyle Johnson to come along, so Yoni will be here as and when he decides that he wants to laugh at me. We're going to start off today with a recap from last week, the confusion that ensued at the end of the Kentucky 400 as Doyle Johnson magically arrives. Hello, Doyle.
Hello.
Made it just in the nick of time. And as I was just saying, the conclusion of last week's Kentucky 400, 4 days worth of post-race investigations to determine the winner. Jeffrey Kohlbergen was awarded a race victory after race control decided to take results from the completion of lap 254, the lap before the carnage, in which we worked out that it was a driver waiting through, all the drivers are waiting for one other driver to get his way to the front of the pace field, and it caused mass hysteria, Doyle.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting finish to that race, and unfortunately I didn't get to see it live, but I saw the aftermath of that, and it was quite an event.
So we're going to run through the grid very quickly. Yves Warner, in the dying moments of qualifying in the number 88 Team Afterburn machine, sets pole with a 19.485 qualifying lap. David Ward, newcomer to the series, sets second position in his first race. Jeffrey Kohlbergen in third, Matthew Lambertson in fourth, with Jonathan Goke in fifth, Mike Larson in sixth, Jason Dunphy in seventh, Randy Crosno in eighth, and then Dave Jinks in ninth, Giorgio Ponti in 10th, John Ailes in 11th, Philippe Lambert in 12th, Robert Carlson in 13th, Andrew Aitken in 14th, Jochen Politzner in 15th, Shilin Pham in 16th, Rene Murray in 17th, and bringing up the rear on the outside of row number 9, Brian R. Simpson. And Doyle, just to go back to Kentucky last week, it ended up being Jeffrey Kohlbergen taking the win from Tim Doyle in second and Mark Warmington in third. Fair decision?
Yeah, I think so. I looked at the evidence in both directions and read the logic behind it, and I think that was the best conclusion you could possibly come to. It was a calamity of events at the end there, so I thought it was a good decision.
And it did look as though at the end of the race, there were so many different elements that had to come into play. And I'd like to extend a personal thank you to Toby Bushnell, Katie and Scott from Talk Fruit Racing and Nim Cross from First Sanctioning Body of iRacing for helping out and coming to a conclusion there. But moving on to Dover, Doyle, this track is fast. 1 mile oval, exactly 24 degrees of banking in the corners, and we were looking in practice today, and these cars only seem to lose about 4 miles an hour down the corners.
Yeah, this track is extremely fast, and depending on how you set up your car, there's a lot of mechanical grip coming into play, even though you do have the banking here. So you're going to see a lot of passing. This actually does have more than one line to it. And I'm really surprised, to be honest with you, how many people have actually turned out for a small little track like this, because there's going to be a lot of rubbing and a lot of banging going on in this track.
I would like to welcome to the booth our in-race reporter, the famous pink car that you see so often on the Saturday nights in Talk Freak Racing, making his entrance into the Afterburn IndyCar Series. David Ward almost stole the show there, second on the grid.
Hi, how's it going? Yeah, we've been working really hard on setup with one of the guys who helps me out with the minis and out there in the real world. So yeah, it's come together. A little bit more work needs to be done, but yeah, quite happy with this. We'll see how it goes. I'm pretty nervous. This is my first oval race, so.
Very good luck to you as a pace car comes out onto the track. You've done a lot of testing here, very high speeds, completely different to what you're used for when you normally drive on the road courses.
Oh yeah, it's completely different. This is like a whole new world to me. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out pack racing wise. Yeah, I'm quite nervous, to tell you the truth.
Well, very good luck in the race, and I hope that you get yourself a nice strong finish on your series debut, and we'll move you back upstairs. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you.
It's going to be interesting to see how David reacts. Unlike the road series, he's going to have cars on both shoulders and behind him and in front of him, and the whole time he's racing, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that translates for him.
So field are too wide coming through turn number 3 at the moment. We're looking for the pace car to make that hard right turn down into pit lane, which you see happening now. Ease One is going to bring the field up to green flag racing. And rain out of the Afterburn Indycar series here on Glacier TV is green. And I tell you what, David Wardow on his first start, losing himself 2 positions already and holding the outside line up a little bit there. So, and that allowed Jonathan Goke and Jeffrey Koolbergen to get past him at the start.
Yeah, and Eves had a really good start there. He just really jumped out there as soon as the pace car was gone. Caught a few people sleeping there, so we'll see how long he can stay out in front.
So out front, Eves Warner is your race leader from Jeffrey Koolberg, and Jonathan Goke in 3rd position.
Caution is out.
Caution is out. I'm having a look back to see who is involved in that. I saw one car down on the apron. Andrew Aitken's involved. Rene Murray's involved. Brian Simpson involved. I believe Julian Pham just involved in it as well. So 4-car pile up towards the rear, 5-car pile up towards the rear of the field. Very big crash early on here at Dover.
I was expecting a couple laps to go by, but I guess we got a little bunched up there and around that first corner.
Big crash, which actually started with Mike Larson, sorry, all the way back earlier, with Mike Larson in the number 72 machine, just getting a little bit loose as he came out of turn number 4, spinning it round. He collected Randy Crosney, sending him flying into the Armco barrier, and then I believe that is Brian Simpson. He gets tagged, and just ahead of him, Rene Murray trying to get past. He just got tangled up there. As you see Randy Crosney's car in all shapes and places. I believe Julian Pham actually just somehow manages to avoid that by slowing all the way down. And big pile up here early on. That's not the thing that you want to start seeing here, a long race like this.
No, and Andrew Aiken has got some kind words from Mike Larson on that. These two don't have any love lost on the track, so we'll see if anybody has damage that can be repaired and get back out there.
So it does look as though a number of cars are coming down pit road to get themselves some service. Mike Larson and Randy Crosney both sat in pit road. Brian Simpson, he's managed to get himself some repairs to his race car. Looks as though he's going to be able to stay on the lead lap. As you do see the conversation continuing between Andrew Aitken and Mike Larson. Unfortunate circumstance for Mike Larson there. Just getting it down a little bit loose. And we talk about so often cold tyres early in a race, Tim. And it looked as though his car just snapped loose as he was just about to start straightening out that wheel coming out turn number 4.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful, especially on a track like this. Because it's so short, you don't have a lot of time for the tires to warm up before you're really cranking on them to get into the corners. So you have to be very, very careful with your steering input and your throttle control.
So lights out on the pace car. Very quick caution here. We're going to go and get to green flag racing this time by Ease One is your race leader. Jeffrey Koolbergen in second. Jonathan Goke in 3rd. Matthew Lambertson in 4th. David Ward in 5th. Then Jason Dunphy, Dave Jenks, John Ailes and Robert Carlson and Giorgio Ponti rounding out your top 10. So thankfully, very, very fast pace laps here, Doyle, and we didn't lose much time under the caution.
Absolutely not. I think that's contributed to the single file restarts we have on this, which is something I haven't seen at Dover before. So we're going to see how that actually helps out during the restarts so they're not getting so bunched up and smashing into each other.
And Doyle, we're going to have to take the point for a moment as my internet's just gone completely haywire. I can't see anything on my stream. All I know, Eves Warner is going to be bringing the field up to green flag racing in just a matter of moments. And Doyle, take over.
As you said, there he goes. Pace car's in. Okay, second restart on its way. Eves Warner off to a really good start out in front. Just like last time, we jumped out there off the pace cars. And Eves Warner continues to have that gap that he's had at the start. Looks like Jeffrey Koolbergen and Jonathan Goke are going to try to close on him with Matthew Lambertson bringing up the rear. Got a little bit of a 3-car breakaway there. See if they can draft up Eves and see what they can do with that. Looks like they're actually going to work together here for at least a lap or two. Good news, it looks like Randy Crosney was able to get his car, get some of the dents beaten out of his car, and he's back on the track. Andrew Aiken is also back on the track. It looks like Mike Larson's our only casualty in the first caution of the day. You can see how fast this track is and how intense this racing is up there. You're looking on board with Matthew Lamerson there, and you can see how there's only a couple of lines, a little bit of drifting there, but this track is going by very, very quickly. There's not a whole lot of room for mistakes here. But looks like Matthew Lamerson's going inside there. Looks like he's going to make a pass on Jonathan Goke. Does he make it stick? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. See if Matthew tries to make any more moves here. As you saw when Matthew got by Jonathan there, all it takes is a little move or a little bump to the outside of the corner, and the guy behind you is going to come right in and take that inside line away from you. Looks like Giorgio Ponte is going to go on the inside. Looks like he's coming up on the inside, trying to take away 8th place from Robert Carlson. It looks like he's made his pass, made it stick, so he's now scheduled in your 8th place, the 00 car.
It looks like I'm coming back. Woohoo!
Yay, Will. Got a lot of racing going on this track. Just telling everybody how you lose that inside line really quickly. You make a mistake and go outside, the guy behind you is definitely going to take that inside line away.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you just hold yourself on that inside line, very hard on the tyres. However, it is one of the easiest ways to protect your position. If you go to the outside lane, you can get more momentum to protect your position. However, if you start getting freight train, that outside line in the corners is just so slow due to the fact you lose so little speed in the corners most of the way around. So it creates a lot of very close racing, and by the look of it, your top 5 cars are literally nose to tail.
They are indeed. There's very little room in between even that first top 5, then a small gap, and then you've got a larger gap coming in for 6th, 7th, and 8th. But more racing coming up there because Robert Carlson was overtaken by Giorgio Ponte, and he continues to ride right behind him there, giving chase. So we're going to see if he's giving that up for good or whether they can keep up with the pack. It's kind of amazing how big of a gap we have out here on the racetrack.
Yeah, these top 5 drivers, it looks like David Ward is struggling to hold onto the back of these drivers for quite parts of this race. You see Jason Dunphy is only about 2 car lengths behind him. So we do have ourselves a 6-car breakaway, and then Giorgio Ponte in 7th is literally, Giorgio Ponte in 8th is 8 seconds behind the race leader, and you have Dave Jenks all by himself in no man's land sat in the 7th position. For Dave Jenks, this must be so horrible, just driving around, turning laps, as we're completing lap number 20 now.
And you look at Randy Browson's coming from the back. He was involved in that original caution. He's just managed to make his way by Robert Carlson and Giorgio Ponte without any incident at all. Just blew right by him. So looks like he's going to be trying to chase down Dave Jenks here, even though he's still considered to be 2 laps down. So he's charging to get his laps back.
Yeah, and Dave Jenks is to say all by himself in that 76 machine. Out the second pack, Robert Carlson doing some fine work trying to get away past Giorgio Ponte in the 00 machine. Looks so at least about as Robert Carlson getting himself on the apron there. That's not what he needs to do. And then he loses the position there to Philippe Lambert in the 08 car, running the 08 car for this weekend. And I'll tell you what, Robert Carlson lost himself not only a position, but himself 6 car lengths in the space of just one corner there.
And if you look up front of the pack, it looks like we're starting to bunch up a little more. It looks like we have the top 6 cars running together now with Jason Dunphy bringing up the back. And David Ward definitely starting to feel his car out a little bit, so he's making a move up front. We've got a lot of races, so if anybody makes a mistake, they're going to lose their line.
Yeah, so David Ward in the 69 pink machine is currently to come under pressure from Jason Dunphy in the number 24 AOX racing machine. And to run through your top 5, Yves Warner in the number 88 is your race leader from Jeffrey Koolbergen. Winner last time out at Kentucky. He's looking for a solid finish once again. Matthew Lambertson currently sat in 3rd in the Boy Scouts of America team afterburn machine. And then in 4th, Jonathan Goad playing the number 13 Chicopon Flurry car. And then David Ward in the pink number 69. Jason Dunphy is in 6th.
Yeah, and it's actually really impressive how some of these guys are racing. Usually you see racers like Matthew Lambertson and Jonathan Goak, they're at it from the start. You know, one lap after another, they basically don't give up. And here it seems like they're kind of content. Let's race together, let's keep it together, and waiting for that mistake rather than trying to force the issue like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, it does look as though of these drivers, you see Andrew Aitken is going a lap down. As he's just going to get overtaken now by David Ward. Next victim will be Jason Dunphy, who puts a lap in as they come out of turn number 2. Andrew Aitken having a very tough day. He is now scored 3 laps down in this race. And I say out of the top 5, I think Jason Dunphy's in the perfect position because it doesn't look as though he's charging too hard. He has the opportunity to save a little bit of fuel. And if all 6 of these drivers are going to have to come down pit lane within a space of about 3 or 4 laps, if we have a green flag pit stop, that is going to be the difference maker because you'd want to come down pit lane yourself and not have to rely on other cars to determine your speed.
Yeah, that's definitely caused some excitement. I think we're going to see how that plays out because this pit lane is not an easy one to get into. There's not much room. You're coming off high speed, and there's a very, very short entry lane in there. So we'll see who's been practicing.
And further back, Giorgio Ponti's managed to get himself a little bit clear now of Robert Carlson in battle for the 8th position. Gap between them last time by was about 1.2 seconds. So Robert Carlson is trying to close down Giorgio Ponti once again. Philippe Lambert is only about 3 car lengths behind Robert Carlson in the number 98 Coca-Cola machine. And then John Ailes is bringing up the rear of that pack in 11th position in the number 14 Old Spice car. And it looked as though he was almost going to come down pit lane there, but he didn't.
It looks like David Ward backed off just a little bit from our top 4, but that gap there is one that we made up instantaneously, so probably doesn't mean much.
And let's not forget, for David Ward, he is going to be at a disadvantage in this race because of the length of the races here. 250 laps of constant concentration is one of the things that does separate the boys from the men in this series. And this is going to be a very tough race, especially in the last third of it.
Yeah, and if you're not used to really paying attention to that, being nose to tail with all those drivers for that length of time, your concentration can definitely come into play and cause you to lose some positions too. I want to make note that Randy Croswell is definitely closing on David Jinks, even though he's scored 2 laps down. It looks like Julian Pham just went out a lap, but he's definitely trying to charge up towards the front of the pack.
Yeah, the gap between Randy Croswell and Dave Jinks on the racetrack, only about 2.5 seconds. And once Randy Croswell manages to close that gap down to about 1.4, 1.3 seconds, then he's really going to close all the way onto the back of Dave Jinks in about the space of 3 or 4 laps. And Randy Croswell doing a good thing here, trying to charge his way back through the field. And let's not forget, in the event that we do get a caution and these drivers come down pit lane, Randy Croswell has the opportunity to stay out on the racetrack and get himself one of those 2 laps back.
Yeah, absolutely. While sitting there getting his damage repaired, I'm sure he fueled up, got fresh tires, so he's got at least 2 more laps of fuel and 2 more laps of tires than the other drivers up front here.
So we're working lap number 37 of 250 here at the Dover 400K round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series on Glacier TV. He's won it. He's still your leader, leading every single lap of this race. Jeffrey Kohlberg currently sat in the second position with Matthew Lambert in the third. There you see.
Oh, look at David Ward make a move on Jonathan Goke.
This is going to be close. Is he going to get the line down?
Watch out, watch out.
Oh, and Jonathan Goke now.
Looks like he makes it stick. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Just taking this wide angle into turn number 1. That allowed David Ward to get past there, and good racing by both these drivers. You see, David Ward, he's lost himself a lot of time. Caution is out ahead of him. Caution is out, and having a look back to see who is involved in that, we're working our second caution of the day, and that was a weird moment there.
I'm trying to find out.
Andrew Aitken in the number 27 machine, who was scored at the time, 3 laps down, coming into turn number 1, just getting it. I don't know what happened there. It almost looks as though he just drove down onto the apron, because he just had so much oversteer that is unbelievable, putting himself into the wall. No other drivers involved, but we're working our second caution of the day here on lap number 36, and pit lane is going to be open. Let's see how many takers there are here.
Yeah, that was definitely just a single car accident. He was running way high on that high line there, and notably that's not where the grip is on the track, so being forced up to the high line like that is probably what cost him his car being a little damaged. He couldn't get the grip he needed, so that's a tough break for Andrew Aitken.
Randy Crosno stays out on the racetrack. Pit lane won't be open for him until next lap, so I'm keeping an eye to see if he manages to get the wave around, or he does decide to take the option to come down into pit lane. We're having a look now and the exit of pit lane. All of the leaders have come in. I believe Philippe Lambert has stayed out on the racetrack with 1 or 2 others, but it does look like David Ward there. He's slow into his pit box as Yves Warner taking his fuel and his tyres. Who's going to win the race off pit road? Jeffrey Kohlberg hitting the wall there. Jeffrey Kohlberg getting the throttle on, hitting the wall. He's going to have to come back down pit lane again. He's going to have some severe damage to his left front of his nose car. Of his front wing even.
Nose car, whatever, it works. His front wing's definitely damaged, so he's going to have to come back around.
But he's one
for Jeffrey.
Yeah, he's one to run the race out of pit road. Jeffrey Kohlberg almost got second coming out, but now that will go back to Matthew Lambertson. Jonathan Goke comes out ahead of David Ward, who comes out in turn ahead of Jason Dunphy. Then it is Dave Jinks and Giorgio Ponti, John Ailes, a battle between Russell Clayton, who just manages to get out of pit lane ahead of, I believe that was Rene Murray. So, drama in pit lane here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but we talked about that early on, the pit stops here, and that's not the only one we're going to see, are going to play a big role on what happens to the order of this race, because like I say, that pit lane is very tricky to get in and out of.
Hakim Politsma and Randy Crosno, they have both stayed out on the racetrack. They're going to get themselves a wave around. Philippe Lambert is currently scored in the first position in the 08 machine. He is obviously looking to try and see whether he can play strategy his way.
Well, there's an unfortunate thing here. It looks like Joachim Pulitzer is not a lap down, so that's going to keep Randy Crosno from getting his wave around.
No. It does look as though Randy Crosno was ahead of Philippe Lambert on the circuit, so once they all circulated around, because Randy Crosno was ahead on the racetrack, he didn't have to worry about Philippe Lambert. And this is what we're thing with the single file restarts is, if you can work your way through the field, you have to rely on less and less people to make a pit stop for you to be eligible to get that wave around. And for now, it looks as though that's worked out well for Randy Crosno.
Let's hope so. I was just looking at that. I wasn't aware of the rule on the single file restarts, but yeah, it would have been a heartbreaker for Randy if he wasn't going to get around there. But he's hoping that he's going to get a couple more opportunities. This will leave him 1 lap down. He's still got plenty of car to keep up with the leaders, so if he can get that lap back, it could still be a good day for Randy. So, around the pace car.
Yeah, the lights are out on the pace car. Philippe Lambert, he's going to be leading his first laps in the series, bringing the field back to green flag racing. Yves Warner will line up in the second position with Matthew Lambertson in third, Jonathan Goke in fourth, David Ward in fifth, Jason Dunphy in sixth, Dave Jinks in seventh, Giorgio Ponti in eighth, John Ailes in ninth, Russell Clayton in 10th, and Jeffrey Kohlberg in all that point, he has dropped back to the 12th spot.
Well, that's going to be interesting to see what Jeffrey does. We know he can run up front, so we'll see how easily he makes his way through the field and back up into contention there, at least to get into the top 5 and mount a charge for the front. It'd be no surprise to see him up there within 15 laps.
We're going to have ourselves one hell of an interesting restart as Philippe Lambert in the 08 Pete Antifreeze machine driving for Club France. He's going to bring the field back to green flag racing any moment now. That pace car makes the turn down pit road. And at the end of lap number 43, we are back.
Oh, waiting,
waiting. Now. Any minute. Now. Oh!
There we go. Oh, gets loose.
That was almost going to be a catastrophe there. Yeah. Immediately coming under attack from Yves Warner as they come into turn number 1. Philippe Lambert, he's going to have the high side there. And Yves Warner, he's going to take back the lead of this race. So, Philippe Lambert, I have no understanding why he stayed out on the racetrack. Because look, he's just getting freight trained by these drivers one at a time.
Choo-choo. Oh, yeah, he's got nothing for anybody. That's an interesting strategy he just had there. He's basically just a rolling roadblock there for a couple of minutes.
So, Matthew Lamberton has passed, Jonathan Goke has passed. We're looking back now to see where David Ward is. David Ward is currently working down the backtrack. He's about 2 seconds behind these drivers as they come out of turn number 4. So he's going to catch Philippe Lambert any moment now. He's got Jason Dunphy about 4 car lengths behind. And then Dave Jinks this time, he's only about 6 car lengths behind Jason Dunphy. So let's see whether Dave Jinks in the number 76 machine can try and keep up with these lead 6 on this run.
Well, it looks like David Ward is a little leery of his car coming out of the pits on cold tires, so he's kind of taking it easy, letting his car come in.
Now he gets past.
Yeah, there he goes, easy pass. At least, he is getting out of the way. He's being fairly respectful of the other drivers on the track. Still don't understand why he stayed out, though, because he had nothing to gain.
Yeah, with no point for leading laps, the only way you get points if you lead the most laps of the race. And Philippe Lambert isn't going to be able to get those 2 bonus points just by leading 2 laps. Under caution, as you see now, Jason Dunphy looking down to the inside of the 24 machine, in the 24 machine, that AeroX racing car. So, Philippe Lambert is already back into 6th position. And the thing is, he was riding in about 9th spot before this caution anyway. So all he's really been able to do is get ahead of Giorgio Ponti, Rene Murray and Dave Jinks. But these guys have 30 laps of fuel to their advantage.
Yeah, speaking of Dave Jinks, I'm a little surprised at how he's running today. I mean, I've run at Dover with Dave Jinks, and he's typically had a very fast car on this track. And for some reason, he just doesn't... Yellow's out.
So the third caution of the day there on lap number 50. And this time, I believe it was Giorgio Ponti in the 00 car spinning in the wrong direction. Spinning on the apron. I believe he hit Randy Crosno. So Randy Crosno, his day is going to be done. Coming down the front straightaway, see Giorgio Ponti just losing it again into turn number 1 in that 00 San Esprilla car. Jeffrey Kuhlberg manages to hit him. Randy Crosno, however, after working his way from 2 laps only to 1 lap down, his day is done. His car is terminally damaged. So Randy Crosno, heartbreak for him after trying to work his way back to the field.
Oh, yeah, that was a severe impact from Randy Crosno to Giorgio Ponti. What a shame.
So, a 2-car incident brings out our 3rd caution of the day here at Dover. And it does look as though turn number 1, and he's played the same sign up in Kentucky last week, and the exit at turn number 4. And for Randy Crosno, his car has got some severe damage to it. I'm interested to see whether or not he will be able to get some repairs to his race car, but it is looking for the moment that his day is pretty terminally damaged.
Yeah, usually I think it would have been okay off the initial impact, but that impact into the wall, I think that's pretty much going to damage his right side suspension beyond repair.
Having a look to see if there's any takers down pit lane this time. We see Philippe Lambert,
absolutely.
Jason Dunphy, Jonathan Goke, they're all staying out, and this is going to give the lead for the moment to David Ward.
You see Jeffrey Kuhlberg decided to pit right there. Since he was behind anyway, he'd go ahead and get fresh tires and a little extra fuel, so he's probably going to start to play the fuel strategy game here by getting a little extra fuel.
Yeah, I did the calculation earlier on today. It's anywhere between 85 and 89 laps on a tank of gas. So these drivers are going to have to make at least 2 more pit stops here at Dover. And you see, if I was Jeffrey Koolbergen, I would have actually stayed out. Track position can be pretty important here, as working your way through traffic does take yourself quite a while to do. So as they come out of pit road, David Ward stayed out on track. He is your race leader with Yves Warner in second. Rene Murray is in third. Sorry, I didn't say all back, but some of these drivers, I believe, didn't come down into pit lane.
No, and I guess we spoke too soon, because that looks like Randy Crossnell's running right behind David Ward there.
Andy Crosno is looking at, he really should be bringing his car down pit lane, but he's staying out on the racetrack. Maybe he's just knowing the fact that he's got himself some terminal damage and he's just trying to turn laps until he has to come in to retire the car under this caution period. But it does look as though Rene Murray is currently scored in the second position, with Russell Clayton in third. Yves Warner is in fourth, with Matthew Lambertson in fifth, as John Ells is coming down pit lane momentarily. Jeffrey Koolbergen has managed to work his way up through that sequence of pit stops into the 7th spot. So the field is pretty much all staggered out here at Dover.
I'm looking in Randy's car, and I'm not seeing the damage I expected to see. His right suspension, especially the right front, so maybe he's not as damaged as we think he is.
I'm having a look on board his car now on the onboard camera, and it does look he's got a little bit, but just how much he has, I will try and find that one out. As you see, he is now angling that car to the left, as the lights are still on the pace car, so we still got ourselves at least one more lap of caution. Here comes Randy Crosno. He's coming down pit lane now, so let's see whether or not he tries to get some damage to his race car, or whether that is terminal.
Going to be interesting too on this restart. You have David Ward out front, followed by Rene Murray. So, you know, David Ward's going to get his first chance out here on an oval track to do the restart. So we're going to see how he does, because on the last 2 restarts, remember, he kind of took it easy on his car for the first lap or two, letting those, letting the car come in. So we're going to see whether he hits the pedal to the metal right off the bat, or he gets the choo-choo train.
So lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go back to green flag racing with 54 laps scored complete here. Round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series, the Dover 400k from Dover International Speedway on Glacier TV. Will Vincent, Doyle Johnson in the booth alongside Yoni Backman and Yano as well. And this is going to be one interesting restart. As we saw last caution, we have a driver leading their first laps in the series coming to the green flag, and Rene Murray currently sat in second as well. This is going to be interesting, as Yves Warner in the 88 machine is going to want to get around Clayton and Murray as quickly as possible to ensure David Ward doesn't scarper off into the distance.
So he does. Yves Warner right around, right off the bat, and then you've got Matthew Lambertson looking to do the same.
So we're going to take this restart on board the number 88 machine of Yves Warner. This is going to be one interesting camera angle. As you see, the pace car is about 10 car lengths ahead. He's making that turn down pit lane now. As you see, David Ward bringing the field back up to green flag racing here at Dover. And Rene Murray looking down to the inside. He's not going to get the job done, but a slow start again from David Ward. He's not comfortable on these starts and restarts, and that is allowed so Rene Murray to have a look for the first moment, and then Yves Warner, he's now working the high side around Rene Murray, as you see Matthew Lambertson freight training him there on the outside line.
David Ward pulling up a gap behind Yves Warner has managed to get around, so he's going to be scored in second place. You got Matthew Lambertson riding in third and trying to trace down David Ward, really putting the chase on him. David Ward's pretty impressive out here in clean air for his first race. Apparently he's definitely eating his Wheaties, and he's done a lot of practice out here.
So yeah, David Ward, the number 69 machine, he said he's made his mark in the Top 6 Racing Supercars, races minis in real life as well. He's now got the hard charger, the 88 of Yves Warner, right behind him. Is he going to try and defend from Yves Warner, or is he just going to let him pass? He's led himself 4 laps so far in this race. I see Ease Warner looking down to the inside line. They're going to be too wide as they come down into turn number 3.
Careful. Oh,
and Matthew
Matthew Lambertson on the outside. Oh my gosh.
David Ward is not giving up here. And he seems to have got that low lining working to a T already.
Yeah, and he's Warner now. Once he gets the taste of blood, he does not give up. He'll pull him to the outside, trying to get a run on the inside of the corner there. Matthew Lambertson's going, don't go outside. I'll take that away from you. But he's definitely in race mode right now, I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, he's one of the most ruthless drivers. He won his split in the World Cup test race yesterday at Michigan International Speedway in dramatic fashion. But again, he's looking right up to the rear wing of David Ward as they come down the front straightaway to complete lap number 62 or 250 here. David Ward doing a good job out front, but he's one that really does want to get the lead of this race back, and he's not got into his plan B, which is the famous fuel conserve mode.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's almost like he knows David Ward is kind of a rookie on the ovals, and he's trying to intimidate him by sticking that wing right underneath his back tires there. He can kind of jar him loose. Right now, David Ward is not falling for it.
So your top 5 are separated by less than 0.6 of a second. David Ward is your race leader in the number 69 machine. He's won it in second. Matthew Lambertson in third. Jeffrey Koolbergen in fourth. Jason Dunphy running out your top 5. Rennie Murray currently sat in the 6th spot, with Robert Carlson in 7th. Jonathan Goat coming through the field in the number 13 Sugar Plum Ferry car in the 8th spot. See, he's one of them getting very loose off turn number 2, trying to dive down to the inside. He lost himself a bit of momentum, and now he's coming under attack from Matthew Lambertson. Matthew Lambertson decided discretion is the better part of valor there, and allows Ease Warner to keep the spot for a moment.
When you look at Jeffrey Koolbergen and Jason Dunphy kind of working together on the outside there, kind of not sure what their plan is for that, but while we were talking, all this racing going on, if you remember correctly, Jeffrey Koolbergen started way in the back, and guess what? Hello, I'm up front.
Yes, so Jeffrey Koolbergen, who won the last time out in the Kentucky 400, led large portions of that race and had some great battles with Tim Doyle. And see that Ease Warner now looking all the way to the high side, trying to get a run through the centre of the corner to ensure that he can try and get close coming off it, but it looks like Ease Warner in that number 88 machine is frustrated for the moment.
Oh, absolutely. David Ward, looking like the man of ice. He is not falling for it. He's not letting Ease Warner get under the skin at all. He's just running his line and watching him go. So he's better be careful. Matthew Lambertson's going to take that away from him. He keeps going high like that.
Jonathan Goak has managed to get himself up into the 6th position. He is 3.7 seconds behind this lead battle. So can Jonathan Goak try and close this lead pack down of 5 drivers made up of Jason Dunphy, Jeffrey Koolbergen, Matthew Lambertson, Ease Warner and David Ward. And Jonathan Goak is now in that kind of no-man zone, as he's already pulled out a 0.7 of a second advantage over Robert Carlson.
Interesting to see what Jason and Jeffrey are doing there, because they keep running on the outside. Maybe they're trying to conserve tires or maybe even fuel.
And again, it looks like Jason really isn't worrying too much. He looks like he's saving himself a little bit of fuel. Jeffrey Koolbergen is looking to the high side. Is he going to see whether he can try and get around the outside of Matthew Lambertson? The 2 AeroX teammates are running the outside line pretty much all the time at the moment. It'll be interesting to see here whether the AeroX racers decide to take the attack to the high line.
And it looks like Eves has kind of calmed down a little bit for the time being. He's not really putting as much pressure on. I guess he decided that David Ward was not going to be intimidated and decided to log some laps.
So for East Warner, it's time for Plan B, and we know what Plan B is. It's called fuel save mode.
Yes, and he's been very successful with Plan B many, many times, so we'll see what happens with that.
Jonathan Goat, he is in the 6th position. That gap is stabilised between the lead pack and Jonathan Goat at 3.8 seconds as they come across the lines, complete lap number 73. And you still see the 2 AeroX racers are running the high line. And Jonathan Goat, he lost himself 7/1000th of a second that last lap. And he must be feeling a little bit left out of this battle, because he loves charging through the field.
Yeah, I think he's probably just trying to conserve his car and hoping for another caution so they can punch the field back up again. We are on lap 75 of 250, so there's plenty of racing, so anything can happen between now and then.
Oh, here Ease Warner comes to the high side. Is he going to try and see whether he can make the move on the high side? Not just yet. But it looks like all of these drivers are going to see whether they can freight train David Ward on the outside and see Matthew Lamberton also going to the high side there. Too wide for the middle of the corner. Almost contact between those two drivers. And it looks like Ease 1 inside of Plan B isn't interesting enough for him. And now he wants to run that outside line as well.
Ease 1 is not one that's been known for a lot of patience. So we'll see what happens here. And I say
Three wide.
There they go. David Ward's running an impressive race today. I mean, for somebody that's never been on an oval track in a race, is very impressive. It's really solid racing today.
So Ease 1 is right behind us. You see, once again, he darts the outside line. Is Ease 1 just trying to put
looks
a
like
lot...
Matthew,
He looks like he's just trying to put a lot of pressure on David Ward, trying to force him into a mistake, knowing he is a rookie in this series. David Ward is holding his own on that inside line. You see Matthew Lambertson there getting a little bit squirrely.
Crash.
Big wreck involving Jeffrey Koolbergen, winner last time out, and that is got to be disappointing there for Koolbergen.
Yeah, single car. It doesn't look like anybody else got collected up. He got down. He got that front wheel down on that apron, it looks like, and
that
just got himself loose.
That is heartbreaking for Jeffrey Koolbergen. Winner last time out at the Kentucky 400. And it looks as though his date is going to be over because he already took some repairs to his race car in that pit lane incident under that first caution.
Yeah, that's something that we hadn't mentioned before at Dover. That apron down there is death. You do not want to get your tires down on that scene because what you saw right there happen to Jeffrey Koolbergen is exactly what happens, and that may have happened to some of the other racers today too. You definitely have to stay off that apron.
Yeah, so like Texas Motor Speedway, the 24 degrees of banking in the corners, there's pretty much no banking on the apron. So if you get yourself, even just a little bit onto below the apron, below that white line, all of a sudden you have absolutely no grip and you're spinning it around. So the race on pit road is going on. Will Ease want to try and short fill? We've seen him do this so many times. Try and get himself out back to the lead of the field. Matthew Lamberton there. He's going to win the race on pit road, I believe. Wow, close battle there as Matthew Lamberton comes out of pit lane. Drama going on ahead of him as well. I believe that Ease 1 got himself a little bit squirrely coming out of pit road. And you see that moment just when Ease 1 pointed to the right a bit like Jeffrey Koolbergen, that allowed Matthew Lamberton to get himself into the lead of the race. I'll tell you what, Doyle, these caution period pit stops have been exciting all race long, and we have ourselves yet another leader. That is the Boy Scouts of America car, driven by none other than Matthew Lamberton.
That's going to be interesting to see what happens come out. Once again, Eve's another frustrating situation because he's going to try to get by Matthew now because they're on the same team. But we'll see. And Matthew's, he's going to battle all the way. So we're going to see some more action up front. I find that very interesting that Matthew managed to beat him out of the pit. So he's going to be looking for some clean air. Looks like everybody wants those 2 points, Will.
Yeah, everyone wants those 2 points. Jeffrey Koolbergen. Disappointing there for you there. You'd got yourself back to the field after your incident in pit lane under the first caution, and it looks as though you just lost concentration for a moment and got yourself onto the apron and game over.
Yeah, that's indeed the case, Will. Unfortunately, I was talking to my teammate Jason, and I was just saying, just cruise and go into relaxation mode and finish another, 180 laps to, and then start racing. And I was indeed in my relax zone, sitting back and blinking with my eyes, and I was already into the wall. So a bit too relaxed from my side, I guess.
And after a beautiful race at Kentucky last time out, that is going to be disappointing for you as you wanted to try and increase your lead. Close the gap to Tim Doyle in the Oval Championship.
Yeah, indeed. This race was meant to be indeed to have a chance to gain some points and get some closer to Tim Doyle. Unfortunately, next week I'm not able to make it, so I guess yeah, this is it so far for me.
So we'll see you then in 2 weeks' time at the Mencap London Endurance Challenge, back onto the road courses where I know you've had some mixed fortune. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Jeffrey, very bad luck to you once again.
Yeah, well, it happens, guys, and well, see you in 2 weeks. Good luck with the broadcast, and thanks for having me.
Cheers, Jeffrey.
Good luck, Jeffrey.
And once again, Philippe Lambert is bringing the field back to green flag racing. Matthew Lambertson in second, he's Warner in third, Jason Dunphy in fourth, David Ward in fifth, Jonathan Goke sat in the sixth position, with Robert Carlson, Rene Murray, Joachim Polizner and John Hales rounding out your top 10. And we're going to be going green in just a matter of moments. As you see there, Philippe Lambert now stacking the pack up a little bit. Now, is he going to bring the field up?
Go, go, go. Come on.
Green
there
flag.
We go. There are special points awarded for leading the most caution laps or something?
Caution back out.
Caution already. Caution back out.
And that is a 2-car pile up there. In fact, I believe Jonathan Goke was involved in that one there, because he tried to overtake David Ward, put the power down, and got rear-ended by Robert Carlson. And lap number 82, just as he came up to green flag racing, looks like he had to check up a little bit, and Jonathan Goke got himself some, not much damage, but he spun himself around. So, annoying moment there, and we're back under caution here at Dover.
That's a interesting one. I'm not sure what happened with that.
It looked as though, just as he was starting to accelerate, he checked up a little bit. Robert Carlson sat on the outside lane. He was ready to go, and Robert Carlson has got himself a little bit of front wing damage as these two drivers just connected with each other, spun Jonathan Goke around, and I believe Joachim Polizner was involved in that as well. He's down pit lane getting some repairs to his race car.
Boy, that was not a good example of heads-up driving. I'm not exactly sure why Robert Carlson decided to just power right through the back of Jonathan Goke. That bad form. He didn't realize where his back wheel was.
Yeah. So, unfortunate, putting us under our fourth caution of the day here at Dover. And Philippe Lambert then is going to lead the cars around this caution once again. He's actually leading himself some laps now, even though it is still under caution. So Philippe Lambert in that 08 machine didn't get overtaken by Matthew Lambertson or Yves Warner on that restart. So he is once again going to bring the field back up to green flag unless he decides to come down pit road this time.
Sure what Matthew Lambertson was doing there. I guess he was just stretching his legs a little bit.
And I think the one thing that we have to our advantage is the fact that these caution periods are pretty quick. We still have 9 drivers on the lead lap. Julian Pham is currently scored as 1 lap down, as is Joachim Polizner. Dave Jinks is 2 laps down, and Giorgio Ponti 3 laps down. Jeffrey Kohlbergen is out of the race, as is Randy Crosno, Andrew Aitken, Brian R. Simpson, and Mike Larson. And there you see Philippe Lambert now coming down pit lane. That's going to hand the lead of this race over to Matthew Lambertson.
Even after that, Jonathan Goke managed to remain the last car on the lead lap, so doesn't seem to be pitting, so I think he's okay. I think it was just a little bit of a spin there. He just kind of let the tires cool down and go at it again.
So, just talking to Jonathan Goke quickly, he says that he's not sure if he has any damage to his race car, as I think Lambertson's trying to save a bit of fuel there. Either that or he's playing chicken with Yves Warner, trying to find something to do under this caution period. So to run through your top 5, Matthew Lambertson is your race leader with Yves Warner in second, Jason Dunphy in third, David Ward now up into the 4th position with Robert Carlson currently sat in the 5th spot, Rene Murray in 6th, Dave Jinks in 7th, John Ailes in 8th, and then Jonathan Goke is in 9th with Julian Pham, I believe, and Philippe Lambert in 10th.
Yeah, and the number 24 car, Jason Dunphy, he's kind of been in the back. He was helping Jeffrey Kohlbergen previously, and he's just kind of slowly run a very patient race, and now he finds himself in the 3rd position here. So this is a good example of a careful, not really aggressive, trying to get the job done without getting underneath everybody, and that sometimes pays off, especially with a race as long as 250 laps.
So lights are out on the pace. Green flag racing with 87 laps scored complete here at the Dover 400k on Glacier TV, round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series. Will Vincent, Doyle Johnson in the booth. Doyle, like Kentucky, and some are going to be looking for that long green flag run.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to take place any moment now, because you've really filled out the field. People saw what's happened to the other cars, and hopefully I think everybody's going to be a little more careful now that we've seen a lot of spinning and crashing. That tends to get in people's heads.
So we're going on board with Jason Dunphy in the number 24 Aero X racing machine for this restart. He's lost pretty much all of his teammates in the race. Jeffrey Kohlberg involved in that last caution, and Jonathan Goat currently sat 4 spots behind. Pace car making the turn down pit lane once again. Matthew Lambertson bringing the field up to green flag racing, and here we go again at Dover. Having a look at Jonathan Goat. Jonathan Goat down to the inside, so the number 14 machine of John Ailes immediately on that restart. He's managed to get himself one position. His next victim will be Rene Morin. He's closing those drivers really, really quickly there.
You see on board with Jason there, you can see he's kind of laying back there, and right off the bat you see Eves and Matthew up front there. I think those guys are going to go at it pretty heavily. See if they run it.
3 to 2 wide, and all of a sudden Jonathan Goat just had cajoles to be able to get around both of those drivers. Jonathan Goat is on the move here at Dover, and now his next victim will be the 69 machine of David Ward in the battle for the 4 spots.
Well, good luck, Jonathan, because David Ward has proved to be quite the jouster that comes out for his first race out here at Dover. So I think Jonathan's going to have a little bit of a battle trying to get by David Ward.
And seeing she did such a sterling job in the Kentucky 400 last week. Randy, first of all, welcome to the booth. Secondly, disappointment in your race yet again in that number 4 Aero X racing machine.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating. I was at the wrong place, wrong time, twice.
And that is one of the characteristics of Dover, because of the fact it is so narrow. You have absolutely nowhere to go low, nowhere to go high. And how disappointing was it on a track that I know you are so good at?
Well, I got to admit, when after I got tangled up the first time and I went in and got the car all repaired and came back out, it was a lot of fun racing and working my way back up there. I wasn't going to catch the leaders unless I had draft help, but I did get one of my laps back, so I was feeling pretty good about it. And then, unfortunately, another car got low, spun, and hit me. So yeah, it was pretty frustrating, but it is what it is. This is a fun deal. It's a race, and apologies were given out on both the incidents I was involved in. So I don't feel bad about anybody. It's just called racing.
Meanwhile, Matthew Lambertson is your race leader with Ease Warner in second. Jason Dunphy coming under attack from David Ward in the number 69 machine, with Jonathan Goat in the 13 car. Started to close this group down. The gap between 4th, David Ward, and 5th, Jonathan Goat, is now down to less than 1 second. And this is the point where Goat is going to get that draft. And look how quickly he is now closing up to this pack. His last time by a 19.4 second lap. This time a 19.453. Jonathan Goat is charging in that 13 Sugar Plum Flary car.
Yeah, it's just amazing how fast the Sugar Plum Fairies can move. But I think he's a little frustrated this time, because this is the second time that he got caught way behind the lead pack. And he was trying to make a charge, but fortunately this time he was able to grab that draft.
So while Dunphy, this is allowed Jonathan Goat to set a 19.397 lap last time. That is one of the fastest laps I have ever seen at this racetrack. And now he's closing right up to the back of David Ward. So come down now, turn number 4, looking to the inside. Is David Ward going to give him the same thing they said last time? David Ward spinning!
No.
Oh!
Oh my gosh!
Into the wall for David Ward there. just as he came into turn number 1, he caught one of these bumps on entry. And as he brought it down, he just somehow managed to avoid Jonathan Goke. But he's into the wall, and disappointment there. But it looks as though we are still under green flag racing conditions.
Caution
No,
just
now
came out.
the caution's out. Caution is out.
Yeah, he managed to keep the car up onto the track, so race officials did not throw the yellow flag until he came back down. But yeah, actually turned down just a smidge when he caught that bump into Jonathan Goke there. Oh, that's unfortunate. That looks like a little netcode incident. I don't see actual...
There was no contact between Goke
Nope, contact.
that I saw.
No, it looks like the rear end of David Ward just got a little loose and lost traction, and into the wall we go.
And that was disappointing for both those drivers, as Jonathan Goke has managed to charge himself up into third position. All these drivers coming down pit lane once again. Let's have a look to see what happens in this race down pit road. As you see all these drivers there trying to take the shortest way around the racetracks, slightly bending the rules a little bit there, but I'm sure race control will be a bit lenient here. But Jason Dunphy just having to find his way into his pit box, and these drivers are going to come down pit lane, take some gas, and guess who is out in front once again?
Would that be Philip Lambert?
Philippe Lambert in the 08 car once again, leading some laps in this race, and you never know, if he does that every caution, he could still be in a chance of those 2 bonus points. And Jonathan Goke gained 2 spots there in pit road. He's one of the leads the drivers who came down pit road out. Jonathan Goke comes out in the 2nd position. Then Matthew Lambertson is dropped right back there, behind John Ailes, behind Robert Carlson, behind Rene Murray, as Jason Dunphy is going to line up 3rd of that bunch. And Joaquin Politzner, Julian Pham, Giorgio Ponti, they're all going to get the try to get the wave around. That's not going to happen. Dave Jinks is going to get the wave around, but with Philippe Lambert staying out on the racetrack, this is pinning a couple of drivers a lap down.
Yeah, and I'm surprised there's not a few words. That's almost rude, to be honest with you, especially since he seemed to stay out every single lap. Wants to lead the pack at the start, but then the choo-choo train just comes flying by every time. So I guess I'm not understanding the point of that.
Well, and if I can interject here, I hope that he has learned from the previous restart that, he was just gradually on the throttle and it really bunched up the field rather than just, when the leader goes, go, because he got everyone checked up and there were some incidents.
Yeah, he waits for the green flag. He's definitely not race pace as far as what we normally see for restarts here in Indy there, with the Indycar. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, well, the only problem is what happens is when the pace car pulls off, he moves up the speed chart to where he's up to around 100 mile an hour, and then he just gradually goes, and all the other guys behind are, they're on it. So it's kind of interesting. I've not seen that strategy in a start before.
And oh, go ahead, Noel. Carry on rambling.
Oh, go ahead, Will. Go ahead, Will.
I was going to say, bringing in very quickly our in-race reporter, David Ward, in the number 69 machine. David, you had a great first 95 laps of the race, and then it all came undone just as Jonathan Goke was looking down to your inside.
Yeah, I saw him come in and I moved up, but unfortunately the internet decided that my day was over, so decided to put me in the wall. It's all good. I'm enjoying it. I'm actually going to try and get back out in front of the... just changing my tyres. I'll be back out in a second or so. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good fun.
And
Great.
Until that point, you were doing a really good job running in that lead pack. Just how difficult is it, as you're just coming back on track now, just how difficult is it to, work in the draft, in the packs of these drivers?
Oh, sorry. Just say again, the crew chief shouting at me.
I just said, how difficult is it to work in these big packs of drivers out front?
Oh, up front, it's so hard to pass. You've got to be diving down the inside and hope that they see you coming. This is a brand new experience for me because I'm just used to track racing. It's good. It's really difficult, and when you're out front, you can just hold the inside line, and it doesn't matter how fast that guy is. He isn't coming by you.
So what was that like to have Yves Warner
Big fan.
behind you for about 10 laps all over your rear wing there.
Yeah, it was great fun. I was holding my own. So yeah, we're just getting back up to speed now. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Good luck.
As Ease Warner comes down the inside of turn number 1, as he passes Philippe Lambert into turn 1. Jonathan Goat passed as well. Philippe Lambert almost goes in the wall as they come down the back straightaway. Jonathan Goat looking to the high side as Philippe Lambert has lost himself 3 positions already. Next victim will be René Murray. Is Jonathan Goat into the wall?
Into the wall. Oh my God.
Oh. Get the
in the
shotguns
air.
ready.
Oh my gosh. Oh geez, what a horrific wreck.
Get the shotguns ready, chaps.
Oh my goodness.
So our second big multi-car pile-up of the day, that involved Julian Pham, Jonathan Goak, Håkan Politsna, and David Ward again involved in that wreck. So his day is now over, and Jonathan Goak losing it on the apron. That is disappointing. Matthew Lambertson got himself a little bit damaged in that wreck as well, and big wreck, big disappointment. David, I know you're still here. From your view, it all happened ahead of you, and there was just nowhere to go.
Oh, that came up so quickly. I thought if I could hear it inside, go low, and lo and behold, the car comes down. Oh well, I'll be definitely back for the next one. It's so much fun.
So as the first 100 laps were pretty awesome for your entrance into the series. Unfortunately, your race ends on lap 102, but we will hopefully talk to you later on and let you go back upstairs and enjoy the banter from the people upstairs, and we'll talk to you later on in post-race.
Alright, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, and like we talked about, you're at lap over 100 laps here, a little fatigued maybe, and Jonathan Goak he's down on the apron just like we talked about. Once you get on that apron, you're lucky it's over. And sure enough, he got way down on the apron and totally lost traction.
And Jonathan Goak's day is unfortunately over, as these drivers are having some difficult times here at the Dover International Speedway, and it just seems to be, again, on turn number 4 on the exit, as now Philippe Lambert comes down into pit lane. At some point I'll figure out what that 08 car is doing, but until then I have no idea. Matthew Lambertson just catching the pace field back up.
Well, Matthew Lambertson was on the race chat, was talking a little bit about getting a black flag for something. So did he? I'm not sure what happened there. Did you see something that caused him to get a penalty?
Just having a look, and I believe it was a similar incident to what happened at Kentucky last week, and just because of the way the field was coming down to pit lane, it's one of those weird things. And yeah, I believe he's coming down into pit lane anyway. But Matthew Lambertson, I'm not sure, I think he is still scored on the end of the lead lap. He was coming down to try and serve a black flag penalty as the caution came out ahead of him. And yeah, difficult moments for some of these drivers as we're under, I believe, our 5th caution of the day here.
Yeah, and it looked like we were going to do really well at the start. I was actually a little surprised because you kind of expect a lot of cautions at Dover just by the nature of the racing. You got a lot of very aggressive racers on this track, so they're not going to be given a whole lot. So I guess this is what we should expect from this kind of racing. But Matthew Lambertson is definitely going to be making his way back up through the field. I doubt he'll stay behind very long.
And they always say that, this is the IndyCar version of Bristol, just because of the high speeds and the high drama. And however, we are now 107 laps into this race, approaching half distance, and these drivers really must just want to get some clean laps done here and get themselves at least to a point where they can think about green flag pit stops.
Well, and I think depending on who you are, I mean, you've got Jason Dunphy, who's now scored in 2nd position, just still running a clean, smooth, not being aggressive. But Renee Murray scored in 3rd position. Robert Carlson. They're just taking it easy and watching everybody else crash out, and you never know. They could be up front and be taking the checkers at the end of this race.
So, Rainer, you in this race earlier on, just how fast are the speeds here at Dover? And just how difficult is it to react to something happens ahead of you? Randy, wakey wakey.
I'm sorry, I had a little technical difficulty. What was that question, Will?
I said, just how difficult is it to react to any of the issues going ahead of you? As we're back to green flag racing here, so East wanna green. East want to bring the field up. Jason Dunphy lost out there on the restart, falling to 8 car lengths behind. But Randy, just how difficult is it for you to react to incidents on this racetrack here at Dover?
Well, you have to make a split decision and make the right one, and I got to be honest with you, it's almost like a guess. It's like a goalie in soccer. Either go left or go right, and you have to anticipate before it really unfolds in front of you. It's that tight. It's such a narrow track.
And is it almost a case of, $5,000 in red or black?
Pretty much, but I've been playing the double aughts green, it seems like, lately, and it hasn't been hitting.
Speaking of somebody with luck, look at Jonathan Goke is back out on the track.
Currently scored 2 laps down in the number 13 machine, but on the track, turning laps and turning reasonably fast laps as well. So it looks as though he has some damage. He is just being able to keep it pointing in the right direction.
I'll tell you what, he's got a heck of a pit crew. That was a horrific crash. He was in upside down in every direction, so you got to hand it to his pit crew for banging the dents out and straightening up that suspension to even get him back on the track at all.
And out front, East One is your leader, Jason Dunphy, tucking in behind in second. Now, with all the incidents going on behind them, these two drivers have the opportunity to put away. Rene Murray currently sat in third. He is 1.6 seconds behind the race lead. Matthew Lambertson just overtaking Robert Carlson there in the number 98 machine to take that 4th position for Matthew Lambertson in the Boy Scouts of America car up into the 4th spot. He's going to want to try and close down Rene Murray as quickly as possible. He's going to have any chance of attempting to catch his lead duo. John Ailes is currently sat in the 6th spot, and Philippe Lambert is in 7th.
Yeah, Matthew Lambertson's definitely on the charge, so we'll probably see him as long as he catches that draft, he'll be up there. But he's got a mighty hill to climb before he can get up to Yves Warner and Jason Dunphy.
Got a nice battle going on. John Ailes, Robert Carlson, Dave Jinks on the racetrack. John Ailes is looking to the inside, trying to find a way around Robert Carlson. Carlson getting a little bit tight in the centre of the corner. That is going to allow John Ailes to have a look down to the inside, but defending well, nicely in that middle groove. On John Ailes not being able to dive down to the inside lane close enough to try and make a pass, as we're currently working lap 114 laps now scored complete here at Dover, so we're over halfway.
Well, I'm looking at Robert Carlson's car. I really like the paint job on that. They did a real good job on that Coca-Cola car.
Yeah, that number 98 Coca-Cola machine, really beautifully well done. And then obviously you've got John Ailes in the Old Spice car, and the number 14 right behind, one of the most distinctive liveries out there. John Ailes in the Old Spice car, still hunting down Robert Carlson in the battle for the 5th spot. And my dyslexia's kicked in again. Apparently we're not halfway. I'm thinking 225 laps. In reality it's 250, so we're almost halfway.
Well, it depends on whether you're counting caution laps or not.
Oh, shut up, guy. Outside. He's one is your race leader, Jason Dunphy, sat in the 2nd position. Matthew Lambertson has now got around Rene Murray in the battle for the 3rd position. Pulled out already a 4 attempts from the 2nd advantage, but he is 3.4 seconds behind the race lead. Matthew Lambertson wanted to conserve some fuel and play the strategy card, but he now has to charge all of his life just to try and get in the same postcode as these other drivers.
Yeah, that's going to be a tall order because he is definitely way off the draft. So, but Matthew's been very fast in previous races, so we'll see if he's really got enough car to keep up. See if our leaders up here are just in fuel conserve mode.
Yeah, looking at the lap times from the 2 leaders, unless Matt can get someone to work with him, it's going to be really tough for Matt to catch up to them during a green flag run.
Yeah, and Jonathan Goke, I'm having a look to see where he would be able to find some help from. Jonathan Goke is currently going through turn number 3. Matthew Lambertson is on the other side of the racetrack, so he's not going to get any help from there at all. And in fact, Jonathan Goke's more likely to end up being attached to the rear of this Yves Warner and Jason Dunphy battle for the lead.
Looks like we got Dave Jinks doing battle. He's a lap down with Robert Carlson. It looks like Dave Jinks finally found some wings for his car there, and he's trying to make his way up through the field at a lap down.
Yeah, Dave Jinks doing a sterling job there in that number 76 West same machine he's next victim to try and unlap himself from will be Rene Murray. And let's not forget, the last time we were here, last December, I believe it was, in the Afterburn IndyCar Series, the Dover 150 as it was then, Dave Jinks qualified that car on pole and completely shocked everyone by taking pole by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. I was a little surprised to see the pace he's running here today. Judging from the race that we had last time, he was actually phenomenal. So somebody's snuck into his garage and stole his secrets.
Stole his secrets, put some sugar in his car. You can start the conspiracy theories once again, Doyle.
Absolutely, that's what I'm all about. They see Dave Jinks once again getting it done out front there, so he's going to want to lead that next little pack of racing. They've got their own little thing going on back here.
And just my random statistic of the day, Jonathan Goet's fastest race lap at 19.397 on scored on lap number 96. That is less than 5/100ths of a second behind the fastest ever lap here at Dover, which is shared by Chris Capo and none other than Mr. Randy Cosno, who's fallen back asleep again.
Well,
I'm awake.
So yeah, Randy, the fact that you jointly own the track record in race conditions at this track must make it even more disappointing for you, the fact that you're now sat on the sidelines having to listen to us blabber on like idiots.
yeah, and we can.
Well,
let
yeah,
that in.
and you keep reminding me how disappointing it is. So yeah,
Must
no,
be
but
really
it's all in good
disappointing,
fun.
So
Yeah,
as we are now halfway, by the way. Woohoo!
So actually, we're more than halfway, but that's okay.
Yeah. So Iswan is your race leader in the number 88 Team Afterburn machine. Iswan has led the most laps in this race so far, and he's doing a sterling job out there in the number 88 machine. Jason Dunphy, driving for Aero X Racing, is currently sat in the second position. Jason's not really had too eventful the race. He always seems to be, waiting for that moment to pounce. And I think as this race gets, about 25% further, you will start seeing Jason starting to shine.
You're absolutely right, Bill. When we were in the race, Jason and I being teammates, we were talking, and he was behind the leaders. I think he was in 5th or 6th, and he was just content just to lay back and save his tires, and it's so early in the run. So that's what he's doing now behind Eves. He's actually saving some fuel, saving tires, and I think when we get 20-25 laps to go, I think you'll see a pretty good shootout between Jason and Eves if they're both still in this race in the end.
And for Jason, he's one of those thinking drivers as well. You never realise just how aggressive he can be, because he's always just sat there planning his way through the field, as we're currently looking in the battle for the 4th and 5th position with Rene Murray and Russell Carlson. That is hotting up there. You see Dave Jinks ahead of him as well. He's managed to get himself around Rene Murray. Robert Carlson looks as though he's got the legs to at least get up to the back of Rene Murray, but he's not been able to find a way past just yet.
We talk about the benefits of the draft. Matt Lambertson was about 4 seconds behind, roughly, when we got the green. He's now 6.1, so he's lost a couple seconds because he doesn't have that drafting partner that Jason and Eves have worked out together, and that's why they're kind of checking out.
And that's something, too, that come up, and a lot of drivers have been commenting on that. During the last build for iRacing, it seems like they've introduced the two-car tango to almost all the cars, including the IndyCar, where we've noticed that two cars are rolling together like this. They're capable of phenomenal speeds, which is not something you would normally see in an IndyCar.
You see, I personally disagree with that. I just think these drivers, having had the same car to race for season after season, and then it's just the increase in the draft model. I personally think it's just been the drivers who need to adapt better more than anything else. You can still see in most draft packs, two drivers can't disappear from the field the same way you'd get at a plate track in NASCAR. I personally think it's just overhyped a little bit, but the draft effect is a lot bigger than it used to be. And looking forward towards the iRacing Indianapolis 500 in literally what we are just over a month's time now. That's going to be really interesting to see how the effect of the draft is going to work on the greatest spectacle in all sim racing.
Well, now my feelings hurt because you disagree with me. So,
The other thing is when we look at the draft out there with Eves and Jason, you see about a car length to 1.5 car lengths between them. If there were people catching up to them, you'd see those two tighten up with one another, and they could probably run another tenth or two quicker. They're running in the mid fives to high fives. They could be in the high fours if they really tightened it up and really wanted to push. But there's really no need to, because they're checking out from third place as we speak.
Yeah, then you've got the fourth place battle going on. That's actually where the race is at currently. Back there on the rest of those cars on the lead lap. Sitting in there, looking like we've got some guys riding along there. Got Dave Jinks leading that pack, even though he's still scored a lap down. So he wants to stay out front there in case there's another caution, so he can try to get his lap back.
Yeah, the best battle on the racetrack is actually their 3-car battle. 4-car battle, even René Moe, Robert Carlson, John Ailes and Philippe Lambert. Those 4 drivers are now separated by less than 1 second on the racetrack, with Dave Jinks putting these drivers all the way round. In fact, I believe the fact that Dave Jinks is leading this pack means that, you know, these drivers are going a little bit faster than they would be doing so otherwise. And this 4-car duo, I think Philippe Lambert is actually saying a little bit of fuel behind in that last position of that pack, but it doesn't look as though either driver is putting too much pressure on the driver out front at the moment.
Well, I think we're at that spot where we're just kind of trying to relax, stretch the legs out a little bit in the car, and maybe loosen the grip a little bit. We've still got plenty of race to go.
Yeah, as we're currently having a quick look on board with Jason Dunphy in the number 24 AeroX racing machine, that beautiful green and carbon fibre livery there. He's sat behind Yves One and not even had a look to the inside yet. So, as Randy was saying, literally just, you know, saving a little bit of fuel, saving his tyres a little bit, seeing where also Yves One's weaknesses are, and because Yves has so few weaknesses, he's having to look very hard. But the AeroX racer doing a sterling job, currently sat in the 2nd position in what is also his first race in the Afterburn Indycar series this year.
Will or Doyle, do either...
Come again?
Go ahead, Ron.
I just had a quick question. Did Will or Doyle, did you all note when they pitted what lap that was?
Most drivers came in on the caution before this one, so they came in around, by my watch, lap 100, 101. So they're going to be needing fuel in about, what, 40, 45, yeah, about 40, 45 laps, I think.
Probably around lap 200 or a little beyond that. So they'll should be able to, one more pit stop and they'll be able to finish the race?
Yeah, if this race stays green, it's all touching one at the same time. If this race stays green, it's one more pit stop to the end. And it'll be a case of when these drivers want to come in, you'll possibly see a little bit of strategy come into play as well. You want to come in as late as possible in case the caution does come out, just because this pit lane, the 35 mile an hour speed limit, it is just so slow once you engage that pit lane speed limit that, you know, you don't want to come in until you absolutely have to. And let's not forget, not only is pit entry difficult here, but pit exit, Randy, is oh so challenging.
Yeah, it's a ice skating rink. When you come out there, you can't just get on it. You have to really feather the throttle and then enter the backstretch carefully and safely. It is tough, but you know, the guys that are really good at it can make up some time.
Yeah, that's something we haven't seen yet today. We have not seen a green flag pit stop, so that excitement is yet to happen. So we'll see what happens if we do get a green flag pit stop. We'll find out how many people can actually make it safely into pit lane without getting black flag and speeding and spinning.
And let's not forget, Afterburn IndyCar Series officials did make a change to the rules for this race. For the series after the Kentucky 400, where Jeffrey Kohlbergen got himself a penalty which was then protested. So the rule has been changed to now say that any driver who merges onto the track before the back straightaway will get himself a 15-second stop and go penalty. And both of you guys, that is a lot more severe than the rule used to be.
Yeah, that's for safety reasons, obviously. Especially on a track like this where the lap times are so short, it takes nothing for you to get started out there on the track, and next thing you know, the cars are on top of you. and you don't want them having to go on that outside line like that.
And at a track like this as well, because of the insane differences between speeds, coming out to the outside lane, and let's not forget this the concrete here as well, the different racing surfaces means when you put the power down, it's very difficult to do so effectively, and it is just a recipe for disaster. Out front, Ease One is still your race leader, as we are less than 100 laps to go here at the Dover 400k on Glacier TV round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series, with Doyle Johnson and Randy Cosmo in the booth alongside me, Will Vincent. Hello. Ease One is your race leader. Jason Dunphy currently sat in the second position, going through the field a little bit. Matthew Lambertson currently sat in third. He's lost out a little bit on that restart, having to come from the field, but doing a really solid job in that number 19 Boy Scouts of America car.
Yeah, and that was unfortunate for Matthew Lambertson in the number 19 car, but he is still sitting on the podium position, so if we do not get any more cautions, I don't know if he's going to have a chance to catch up, but he is sitting at a very solid P3 right now, and then anything can happen again, the green flag pit stop. That could bring him back out into a good position.
In the fourth position, see Rene Murray is still sat behind Dave Jinks, using Jinks to his advantage, just being able to save himself a little bit of fuel and be pulled around the around the race track a little bit. Rene Murray, one of his strongest showings in the Afterburn IndyCar Series in that Eastern Canada number 15 car, and Rene Murray is doing a pretty good job there in the fourth spot.
Yeah, and saving fuel, like maybe they're hoping the strategy, to get in on that green flag pit stop, get in, take as little fuel as possible, so they can. We've got somebody, Dave Jinks is pulling into the pits.
Yep, for our first proper green flag pit stop here, Dave Jinks is now going to allow Rene Murray, as Robert Carlson there gets past Rene Murray, somewhere in that mess, as I think Rene Murray just a little bit too conservative, running the second groove, and then Robert Carlson managed to stick it down the inside lane, and boom, Robert Carlson is now up into the fourth position. As just how slow is this pit lane here as you're looking on board with Dave Jinks?
That's 35 miles an hour, I believe, and that's almost a school zone. That's horrible. That's got to be torture for him.
So Dave
the
Jinks,
cars going by,
filling up the Sunoco race house. He needs himself one more caution if he's going to make this race go to the end. He needs one more caution and a little bit of fuel saving, in fact. So Dave Jinks cannot currently make this race on this tank of fuel. He's going to need one more pit stop. As you see here, he's going very, very gently round the pit exit. The second line is the safest just because of the way the banking is on that track apron. Now he can bring the car up onto the racing groove. And that is a perfect example of how you successfully do a pit stop here. And a pretty nice pit in time there for 39.992.
Yeah, good job for Dave Jinks. And you're right, he does need a caution to get some laps back, to get back on that lead lap and definitely get some fuel. Meantime, up front here, you've got Robert Carlson did successfully get the position back from John Ailes.
No, you mean Rene Murray.
Spin.
Caution out, and that is going to really, really hurt Dave Jinks. As he's going to be caught even more laps down, and that is Philippe Lambert in the 08 machine. And just having a look back on the replay, Philippe Lambert coming in turn number 1, and then ahead of him, Robert Carlson clipping the apron in the number 98 Coca-Cola machine, coming up onto the racetrack. I think John Ailes got a little bit of damage, but he's able to carry on. But Philippe Lambert is stuck in the tyre barrier, and the catch fencing even. So we're under our 6th caution of the day here, as Robert Carlson in the number 98 machine, spinning it on the exit of turn number 2, just getting it onto the apron a little bit. His day is over, as is Philippe Lambert's.
Yeah, like, Concrete Monster, we've talked about this before. He's multiple victims. You get down on that apron, you lose your concentration, you allow your car to get down there, and you just lose traction, and there's nothing you can do to collect up your car.
So here they come down pit road once again. He's want to bring the field down. You see Matthew Lambertson there trying to drag race, chasing down pit lane. This is always interesting when these drivers really start to get it. And they know now this could be their last pit stop as they come in to top up on Sunoco race gas. So for Ease One, he is wanting to get the lead out of this race. Let's see whether or not Matthew Lambertson can try and jump him like he did earlier on, looking for the race off pit road, and it looks as though they come out as they came in. Jason Dunphy keeps the second position with Matthew Lambertson keeping the third spot, and now you've got to try and find your way to get around each one if you're going to want to win this race.
Matthew Lambertson definitely wanted that.
If this stays green from here to the finish, it's going to be very close to not have to stop again. The guys in second or third that can save just about a lap or two over the full fuel run, I believe they can make it the entire way.
For Yves Warner, however, he is right on the border. You can tell already he's literally clutched that card, and as has Matthew Lambertson, as I think he's doing one of his famous toilet breaks there.
Well, and also something to note that this restart will not be led by Philippe Lambert.
Philippe Lambert is actually out of the race after being caught in that incident with Robert Carlson, which brought out this caution. And disappointment there for Carlson in the number 98, who was having a great drive. Same also for Philippe Lambert in the 08 machine. He's led some laps today. He wasn't that good on restart, but he was definitely in the shot for trying to get himself a top 5 position at times.
Matthew Lambertson's definitely taking a break at this moment, and that's definitely a caution that he was hoping for, because there was no way he wasn't closing the gap on the leaders like he wanted to for P3. So now the field's going to bunch up again, and that's going to give Matthew an opportunity to stay in the draft and get back into the race.
So
and here he comes.
Yves Warner has already scored the 2 bonus points for leading the most laps here today. So Yves Warner is going to at least guarantee himself 2 of the bonus points. However, I think the bonus points up for fastest lap is still up for question, and I don't think that Yves Warner is going to want to try and get that, seeing as he's currently in the hot seat.
Yeah, I think we're about to see the race to get a lot more interesting now that we have 3 cars up there wanting to battle, because Matthews, he may ride for a little while, but now he's going to want to get up there and do some tangling with his teammate up there, Yves Warner.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. Yves Warner, Matthew Lambertson, these guys, even though they're teammates, they are very, very competitive, and none of these drivers are going to give an inch at all on the racetrack. I think Jason Dunphy currently sat in the second position. He might just drop back to third and let these 2 drivers duel it out for the moment. To run for your top 5 is going to go Green Flag Racing with 167 laps, scored complete here at the Dover 400k. Yves Warner is your race leader, with Jason Dunphy in second, Matthew Lambertson in third, John Ailes in fourth, Rene Murray rounding out your top 5, with Robert Carson, Jonathan Goat, Dave Jinks, Giorgio Ponte, and Philippe Lambert rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and you got John Ailes and Rene Murray still just kind of hanging on there for dear life, keeping on that lead lap, not being too aggressive, just kind of running their race, and it's paying off for them.
Pace car in. Yves Warner is now bringing the field back up to Green Flag Racing. Green Flag in the air. We're racing once again here at Dover with less than 90 laps to go, and you see Matthew Lambertson immediately looking down to the inside of Jason Dunphy to come through turn number 1, and Jason just giving the position up there, knowing how aggressive Lambertson is going to be at the start of this race. I see a slow car on the apron. I believe that was Giorgio Ponte in the 00 machine, and now Lambertson on the charge towards Yves Warner.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what we're talking about. Matthew spent far too much time out there running around in no man's land. He wants some action, and he wants it right now. So you can tell that Yves knows he's coming.
So the gap.
While that's playing out between the 2 leaders, you're absolutely right. Jason is just he's sitting back. He's going to save his fuel, save his tires, because as the field has kind of cleansed itself, for lack of a better term, I think you're going to see a long green flag run here. Maybe to the end.
So Randy, are you disappointed that you're not involved in this?
Thank you, Will.
Is this disappointing for you, Randy?
Will, it's actually more fun being up here in the booth with you guys. And you can tell I'm lying, right?
Well, actually, he's doing good. He's the team captain. He still has 2 teammates on the track. I mean, you got Jonathan Goat trying to charge up through there. He's went right through that second pack, and he's trying to make his way up there. So he can do some racing even though he scored 2 laps down.
And Jason Dunphy there, he is just letting these two drivers draw it out. You see he's running the second lane all the way around the racetrack. He is not going to get involved in anything until probably 20 laps to go. And he's won at Matthew Lambertson. They are, I think, waiting, for lack of a better word. Matthew Lambertson is a very, very aggressive driver, but maybe, as you were saying, Randy, you're trying to hit a fuel number for now to then attack Ease Warner later on.
And then you see Jonathan Goat doing everything he can. He wants to catch that draft. He wants to get up there, even though he's 2 laps down. He wants to get up there so he can help his teammate out. It's helping him in the draft and trying to help, save fuel. So.
And in the not only that, I think Jonathan Goat is to want to try and get that fastest up of the race. Currently, it's being held by David Ward in his first race in the afternoon Indycar. It's a staggering 19.380 lap there from David Ward. Jonathan Goat looks like he's just a little bit too far back to be able to catch these drivers for the moment, especially as they are, for the most part, lined up. Jonathan Goat, unless he, asks Jason to drop back a little bit so they can charge back up together, I'm not quite sure that, Jonathan Goat is going to get anything, as we're getting word that we still think that these drivers are going to have one more pit stop left to go. But I did some fuel calculations earlier.
Oh, another crash, My goodness.
2 cars involved. That's Dave Jinks and Robert Carlson again coming out of turn number 2. Having a look back on the replay, Robert Carlson just getting the car loose off of turn number 2 and drove down to the inside wall. Dave Jinks had absolutely nowhere to go, and Dave Jinks is having to bring the car down pit lane, and disappointing that as we're under one more caution, and now these drivers are going to be able to go to the end of this race without having to save fuel.
Yeah, and Robert Carlson is amazing after that last crash. He was back out on the track and running in the same area he was before, but just could not hold on to the car, and it wasn't the apron, it just somehow he got loose. Poor Dave Jinks, he's run a pretty good race today, so fortunate to see him getting collected up in that. She gave him a nice little swipe as he went into the pits.
So, quick question of note. If anyone is living in Finland and would like to give Yoni back some popcorn, please let us know on Twitter and we'll send his address over to you. He's want to bring the field down to get themselves some fresh tyres. This will now guarantee the last pit stop for these drivers. Jonathan Goat stays out on the racetrack. He's one of Matthew Lambertson. Are these drivers going to take tyres or are they just going to top up with fuel? This is where strategy could really come into play, as we are looking to see which one of these drivers is going to win the race off pit road. You have Matthew Lambertson, Yves Warner, and Jason Dunphy coming down into their pit boxes now. Matthew Lambertson stops earlier, and they look as though Matthew Lambertson didn't take fuel. And so close. Yves Warner just manages to keep it.
How's that going to play out for Jonathan Goat getting his lap back? Does that mean he's going to have to pit again? Because he did not take tires and fuel, or do you think he's just staying out because he's a lap down and he'll jump into the pits now?
Well, pit road isn't even open for Jonathan Goak until they come down this time by, so for Jonathan Goak, his first opportunity to pit will be as the pace car rolls through turn number 3 and 4. If I was Jonathan Goak, I would stay out, personally.
I'll be hoping for another caution. It looks like he's going to go in. Nope.
No, he stays out. He's going to get the wave around, putting himself back onto the lead lap. And that's going to give him the shot at a top 4 finish. For Jonathan Goak, I think that is his best option, Otherwise, he'd have to come through the field once again, regardless. But at least now he can do so being on the lead lap. And if he has to do one more splash and dash, at least he knows that he has half the cards in his hand right now.
And I'm looking down on pit road, Dave Jinks. He might be able to get some repairs to his car, get back out on the track, but definitely Robert Carlson is hosting a barbecue in the pit stall there. I do not think he'll return to the race.
Yeah, I'd like myself a nice Frankfurter sausage and a burger with some fried onions and mustard, please.
He's definitely smoking something there, so it should be ready for you any minute now. hoping to see Dave Jinks, hoping his pit crew can bang out some of those dents and get that suspension fixed so we can at least get out there and finish the race, because he's always been one of our favorites out there, especially out here in Dover.
So
He's a good guy.
Yeah, Ease Warner is still leading the way here at the Dover 400k on Glacier TV, round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series. And it's going to be an interesting finish to this race, I think. You know, with Jonathan Goat coming slowly into the picture, if Jonathan Goat can try and get around the two drivers of Rene Murray and John Ailes quickly enough, then he has the opportunity to try and attach himself to, with Jason Dunphy, to charge down this lead pack. Matthew Lambertson and Ease Warner, you know, they're going to go tete-a-tete. Jason Dunphy is going to, you know, be the wild card here. No one's really seen just how aggressive Jason can be in this race, in that number 24 Aero-X racing machine, but do not count out the Sugar Plum Fairy car of Jonathan Goak, the number 13.
Absolutely. He's as aggressive as it comes. He's going to do everything he can to get himself back into the race. So we're going to see if this strategy of getting his lap back and hopefully his fuel and tires will hold out long enough to that strategy will work out for him.
So the lights are out on the pace car. Two drivers getting the wave round, Giorgio Ponti and Jonathan Goak. And Jonathan Goak is going to put himself back onto the lead lap. John Ailes is just coming out of pit lane momentarily. And these drivers need to get themselves a move on to get themselves back to the back of the field. As you see there, John Ailes just now slowing down. Be careful, be careful, be careful. And Dave Jinks, I believe, has got himself an end-of-line penalty, so all these drivers are going to have to go around him. Same with Giorgio Ponti. And we are going to be going back to green flag racing with, by my watch, 78 laps left to go here at the Dover 400k. Ease One is going to bring the field back up to green flag racing. Waiting a minute, waiting. Now he bolts. And Matthew Lamberton just timed it perfectly. He's going to go right with him. Jason Dunphy is about 4 car lengths behind, and he has got Rene Murray right there with him. Jonathan Goak, however, he looks like he's being held up a little bit by John Ailes as they come through turn number 1 and 2. John Ailes just moving aside. Big crash, I can't believe that. I think there's both of your leaders there involved.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what you don't want to see this late in the race.
Ease Warner, after leading the most laps here today, just coming off turn number 2, getting one wheel down below the apron, as you said there, Doyle. And Matthew Lambertson, how he didn't get damaged in that, I have no idea. Ease Warner, from the lead of this race, he is going to be heartbroken as he was looking to reassert his dominance in the Afterburn IndyCar Series. Let's not forget, last season, he won the overall championship, and I believe the Oval Championship as well. So for Ease Warner, after having some bad luck early on in this season, he wanted to try and reassert his dominance, and as Joni was just saying, he looks as though he tried to lowline a little bit too much, and it cost him dearly.
He's limping his car back out on the track. He's only actually got 2 wheels making contact on the pavement at this time, so he's probably going to go around trying to hopefully get his... losing control. I think he's going to need to park that.
So cars coming down pit lane again, and guess who's in the lead of this race?
Matthew Lambertson.
The first car, however, in the pace line, Jonathan Goak in the number 13.
I believe Jonathan only got one of the lap backs. Well, I think he's getting his other lap back now, so he'll get the wave around.
Okay, I'll take that back. Jonathan Goak, however, is then going to get himself back onto the lead lap. And the race out of pit road, Matthew Lambertson, I believe, leads that one perfectly fine. Jason Dunphy in second. And Jonathan Goak is going to get waved around back onto the lead laps, and now he can come into play. Dave Jinks, Giorgio Ponti, and Jonathan Goak are looking like they're going to get the wave around unless Goak pulls himself down pit lane. I think, however, Goak will be able to make it on fuel if he stays out from now on. So we'll try and ask our technical experts to see whether they agree on that. We're getting different fuel numbers coming out all over the place here. And Randy, I think that one of the things about that is because of the method of, you know, shifting and using the car here, that does create the wild variations in the fuel numbers a bit.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, if you can stay behind someone and get in their draft and let off, you can definitely save some fuel. And I believe they're all good to go from here to the end.
Well, we're getting word that Jonathan can't make it, so This is going to be interesting because, Randy, being our teammate, we know Jonathan right now. He's chomping at the bit to get back on that lead lap because he knows he has enough car to get by John Ailes and Renee Murray to get up there and start running with his teammate Jason Dunphy. So I can just imagine what it's like inside his cockpit right now.
Well, actually, he's glad to be on the lead lap. He's obviously hoping for one more yellow flag between now and the finish, so that he can get the required fuel, so that he can finish. But you got to get the lap back when you have the opportunity. So in my mind, he did the right thing. He stayed out. He's going to be on the lead lap, and if another yellow comes out, he will be in the hunt.
If he doesn't get a yellow, unfortunately, he's going to run out of. He's going to have to do a green flag pit stop to lose that lap one more time. So I think he's betting with the number of cars that are back out here that one of these others, somebody else is going to clip the apron and get into the wall, as we've seen so many times today on this racetrack.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you look at the standings. John is in 6th place right now on the lead lap. 7th place is 5 laps down. So he has nothing to lose by staying out.
The worst he could possibly do is now he's registered in 5th place because Yves Wanner is going laps down now because of his damaged car.
So we're going to go back to green flag racing this time by, you see Jonathan Goke, he is getting himself the wave around. I believe that was John Ailes who brought himself back down pit lane. Matthew Lambertson is going to be your race leader with Jason Dunphy in 2nd, Rene Murray in 3rd, John Ailes in 4th, Jonathan Goke in 5th, and then Yves Wanner in the 6th position. And don't forget, next week the Afterburn IndyCar Series comes to Pocono for the Pocono 250. That is going to be one very, very tough race. Next week, and then the week after that, the Men Cup London Endurance Challenge. We'll talk about that once we go back to green flag racing. And I have to give a big shout out to Daniel Lee, who successfully completed the London Marathon today in this effort to raise over £1,600 for Men Cup, the charity that deals with learning disabilities. Pace car going to pull himself down pit road. Matthew Lambertson, for the first time, bringing the field back to green flag racing. The number 19 Boy Scouts for America accelerates, and we're back to green.
Renee Murray looking on the inside of Jason Dunphy right there, trying to make the pass. It looks like he's going to make it stick. Jason's just going to go in and set that off the restart. But Jason's been a little bit slow on the restarts. I'll be trying to be a little leery of car that early in the race, so we'll see if he can get that back. So Renee Murray is going to take P2 for the first time in the race.
Yeah, the highest that Renee Murray actually ever run in green flag conditions in the Afterburn IndyCar Series. And a great job there by the number 15 machine. As we didn't expect that, as it looks as though all of a sudden Rene Murray's found himself a little bit of extra oomph in his car, and this is going to allow Jonathan Goke to close up to the rear of Jason Dunphy in the number 24 machine.
Well, interesting too is Yves Wanner has made his way back onto the track after that catastrophic fail to bring out this last caution. So we're going to see if his car was put together enough to get him back up here, and whether or not he starts getting a little frisky up here with the cars that are a lap ahead of him.
So Matthew Lambertson is your race leader with Jason Dunphy in 2nd. Rene Murray.
There's that crash they were looking for. Oh, yellow flag is out.
What?
Getting in the back of. Who did get?
Rene Murray just getting into the rear of Dave Jinks. And
Dave Jinks, yeah.
Dave Jinks was getting out of the way. Rene Murray, for some reason, wanted to run the high line, and they were going to go free wide anyway because Jonathan Goke was putting it down to the inside lane. And it looks as though just as Rene Murray got himself to try and go on the outside, it looks as though he just scraped the wall down into Dave Jinks. No damage to either of their race cars, but what the hell is going on between those two drivers there?
I have no idea. Now you got Jonathan Goke, because now you can bet his pit crew is just jumping up and down, because now he's got the opportunity to go in, keep his position, and get the amount of fuel that he needs to finish this race. Now you've got Matthew Lambertson, Jason Dunphy, and Jonathan Goke. There's going to be a battle up front. Unbelievable. Well, and I'll tell you what, Randy, I'm really feeling for Dave Jinks. That's just a shame. He's done everything he could to try to stay out here on this track and run. You know, last time at Dover, he was a dominant force, and he's just having really, really bad luck today.
Yeah, it is unfortunate for Dave, but as we look at the field now, we've got 4 cars on the lead lap, and like you say, Jonathan worked his way back from 2 laps down, so we should have a pretty good shootout, and once again, maybe we could go green to the end. It looks like we'll have about 55 laps to go when we get the green, roughly.
There's not going to be a lot of cars left to bring out a caution, but say Jonathan just went ahead and pitted right there, so he should have enough fuel and tires to get him to the end of the race, so we'll see what happens right here.
So this is going to be one interesting finish to the Afterburn IndyCar Series round number 8 at Dover. A race full of calamity, mayhem, crashes and drama, and we all expected this coming in, but I think that the amount of cautions we had just a little bit on the heavy side here today.
Will, would you like to ask me once again if I'm disappointed if I'm not still in the race?
Randy, are you disappointed that you're not still in the race?
Being involved in 2 of those crashes.
Yeah, and if we had unlimited tows, I think I would have been involved in every single one of those yellows.
That's a good point. There's only 7 of 18 cars. Actually, it was impressive to see how many cars actually showed up today to race Dover, knowing full well that this is a really tight track and this is what can happen. Showed up anyway, and that's really great.
Yeah, it was a nice turnout for this race. However, it is one of those tracks that if drivers don't do a lot of practice, it does end up sometimes going horribly wrong. And I'm sure series officials, when they come to make the 2013 schedule, will be having a close look to see whether Dover will be suitable to coming back to. However, next week going to Pocono, that's going to be an interesting racetrack.
Pocono is always an interesting racetrack. That can go 2 ways. That can look like this race in a lot of ways because of the technical on the track and the way the shape is in the corners, and that takes one end of the track is completely different than the other end of the track. So it takes a lot of engineering on those setups to get a stable race car at Pocono. And actually, well, to be honest with you, this kind of racing right here, maybe for the race car drivers, isn't exactly optimal. For the fans and the people viewing, this has been pretty exciting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is what happens when NASCAR meets the Afterburn IndyCar Series. We're about to go back to green flag racing here with Matthew Lambertson in the number 19 machine ahead of Jason Dunphy in second, Jonathan Goke in third, Rene Murray in fourth, John Ayers in fifth, Yves Warner in the sixth spot. And let's not forget... Go on.
Well, you see Yves managed to sneak up in there, even though he's scored 2 laps down. He's up there running with his buddies, and it's definitely going to be between Jonathan Goke and the second position that he's looking for.
Yeah, Yves Warner is on the charge. He does not want to be finishing this race 2 laps down. And Yves, pay attention here. Be careful when you get through this field. Don't cause too much of an incident here once again. As let's not forget, when we go to Pocono in 1 week's time, it's going to be incredibly tough for these drivers to not only familiarise themselves with a new tyre model, a new aero package, and change to a car, but also Pocono is one of the most difficult tracks on the Afterburn IndyCar Series. On the oval side, you see Yves Warner looking down to the inside, Jason Dunphy giving him very little room there. Yves Warner, at some point you're going to have to back out the throttle and let these two guys race for position, because otherwise you are going to be the cause of the next caution. He's looking down to the inside once again, and Jason Dunphy there just very wisely getting out of the way.
Yes, absolutely. I really hate to see Yves being this aggressive, being 2 laps down like this. Now you see Jason Dunphy's managed to lose another position.
So by being nice,
teammate Jonathan Goke.
So by being nice and letting Yves Warner go past, he's lost the second position there to Jonathan Goke. Now you've got 3 of the hardest races in the Afterburn IndyCar Series. You've got Matthew Lambertson out front. Yves Warner is going to be racing his teammate to try and get himself back from 2 laps down. Looking to the high side. What is going on between here? Yves Warner diving down to the inside. I have no idea what he's doing here. Jonathan Goke currently sat second position.
Oh
And
my goodness.
I actually don't know whether he's just wanting to wreck the leader here to get himself back into the league lap.
Well,
I'm thinking
he's
his,
just doing
he's-
everything he can to get in front of the leader, because should the yellow come out, he will automatically get a lap back. So, granted, there's only about 50 laps left, but he's giving it all he got.
Less than 50 laps to go now here at the Afterburn IndyCar Series, round 8 with over 400k. Ease Warner is, in some ways, he is looking to the high side there. Jonathan Goke, he's going to have a look down the inside. So
Hold it
Jonathan
together.
Goke, I was about to say, whilst he's being ultra aggressive, he was being a buffer to Matthew Lambertson, but now that is out of the question. Jonathan Goke, he is out now, right behind the rear of Matthew Lambertson in the battle for the first position, as Ease One has gone all the way back down behind Jason Dunphy. This is going to be really interesting watching these top 4 drivers for the rest of this race. So Jonathan Goke looking all the way down to the inside. Who can go the lowest into the corner? Jason Dunphy starting to get racing himself there. As he's won, I think he's realised that he's not going to need to get past all 3 of these drivers, and he's just got to sit it out for a moment.
Yeah, you're right, Will. It does look like Ease is kind of backed out and thought, okay, I'll just let these 3 go for it.
On the high side, here comes Jonathan Goke, side by side through the corner. Jonathan Goke, is he going to try and make the pass on the high side for the lead? And he's got himself ahead as they come through turn 3 and 4 now. Matthew Lambert's going to have the inside line. That's the shortest way around the racetrack. But Jonathan Goke doing a superb job of pinching down here across the line. 3/100ths of a second. And Jonathan Goke is trying to do the impossible and overtake on the outside line here at Dover. Didn't quite happen, and he tucks back in, and he's trying to look down to the inside, and he's going to have to try and regain some momentum now.
Well, and he was trying to get some help. It looked like Jason was trying to help him, give him a little push on that outside line, but he just couldn't quite get up there. But that was quite a courageous attempt.
It is really tough to pass on the outside, but you're right. Jonathan Goke and Jason being teammates sort of hooked up, and makes for an interesting combination we have here. If we look at the relative screen, you have those 4 drivers, you've got 2 different teams, so we'll see if maybe Eves comes up to help Matt, being his teammate.
So you have the LOX races with Jonathan Goke and Jason Dunphy currently sat in 2nd and 3rd position. Matthew Lambertson sat in 1st with Ease Warner 2 laps down, 4th in line. So you could have the fact that Ease Warner might try and help out Matthew Lambertson should it be required. Jonathan Goke all over the pack of Matthew Lambertson as we've just got ourselves 43 laps to go here in the over 400k. This is really hotting up now, and we said that this race is going to be full of drama, and it looks as though on the racetrack the racing is just getting more intense by the moment.
Oh yeah, and I don't think he's seen the last of Eves either. I think he's just kind of sitting back and kind of catching his breath, but I can't imagine that he's not going to try to come back up through there. He's just got too much race around him.
It looks as though, let's not forget also that Jonathan Goke, we believe, hasn't got the fuel to go to the end, so he might still have to come down pit road to make himself one more pit stop. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not Jonathan Goke has got the fuel to try and eke it out, but he's been so racy, I don't think he's even remembered the fact that he might have to make one more pit stop here.
Well, he pitted under that last caution, so he should have the same fuel as everybody else on the track.
Did he come down pit road?
Oh yes,
he did.
He did come down pit road, sorry, I take that back. As he's again looking to the high side there of Matthew Lambertson. And looking down to
Watch the apron!
Saves it. That allows Jason Dunphy to get past, and he's won it on the outside, side by side. Jonathan Goke might just be able to get the gap back from Ease Warner, probably calling to Jason saying, "Go low, help me, help me, help me." But Jonathan Goke lost the 2nd position to Jason Dunphy, and now it's Jason's turn to try and put pressure on Matthew Lamberton in that Boy Scouts of America car. Here again to the high side. Can Jason make the outside line work? 2 wide going through turn number 1, and will Jonathan Goke try and push him around, or will he try and take the position back from his teammate?
I tell you, it would be a lot easier for John to push Jason around if that could be done, if it wasn't for Eves hanging out there in the relative 4th spot, because if John let Eves get underneath, then that means that Eves can catch up to Matt and start working with him. So we've got a nice battle brewing here.
Oh yeah, we've got ourselves less than 40 laps to go off the Dover 400k, and things really kicking off here. And I have to say a big thank you to Yodi Batman for the amazing in-car cameras we have here today. Some new technology being trialled in the Afterburn IndyCar series. And Jonathan Goke, is he going to carry on pushing? He's getting very squirrely to come into the corners. And let's see whether or not Ease One will try and help out his teammate Matthew Lamberton. But it looks like for the moment, Lamberton has the job done.
And it also looked like the last few laps that Eves was going to tuck in behind Jason and John and try and work their way past Matt. Maybe Eves has a little animosity towards Matt with that little tangle they got into the yellow before last.
Well, I think when he takes a look at the replay, he'll find out that there wasn't any reason to have animosity with Matthew, but we know how it is when you're out there on the racetrack. You don't get to see the replays, you just get to react to whatever happened to you at the time.
That's right. I mean, half the time when you think you've been done wrong, when you look at the replay, it's like, oh, I think that may have been my bad. So, absolutely.
So for everyone watching, don't ever say that Team Afterburn and Layer X races never raced. As Joke again getting very squirrely coming up in turn number 2. Now East One is going to have the opportunity to run the outside line again. Goke once again manages to dodge a bullet there, but Goke looks like he is pushing oh so hard as he is trying to help out Jason Dunphy on the outside. Matthew Lamberton for the moment, he's just holding the inside line to perfection in the going to have across the line 219 complete in the Dover 400k. Matthew Lamberton is your race leader with Jason Dunphy in second. Jonathan Goke is sat in the third position with Rene Murray in fourth, John Ailes in fifth. Yves Warner is running out your top 6.
Well, when they come around the start-finish line, they'll have 30 laps to go, and these laps are really clicking down pretty fast under this green flag pace.
And I think that one thing to remember as we're watching this race, unless there's another caution, Yves Leonard that you're seeing on your screen here that looks like he's part of the pack is really not in this race at this moment unless we have another caution.
So yeah, so Yves Warner, as the later it goes on, the later he'll realise that he's less likely to get himself back onto the lead lap. He's currently sat in the 6th position. The reason why he wants one of those laps back is because John Ailes, he can then overtake if he does manage to get himself, one of those laps back. But as they come across the line again with 220 laps scored complete, the top 3 drivers separated by less than 0.2 of a second on the racetrack. Yves Warner, he's currently sat at 4th and 9, even though he's scored in the 6th position. And Yves Warner really could come into play for the rest of this race. Will he still try and make his way through this pack? Will he try and help out Matthew Lamberton? Or will he try and get a little bit of revenge and help out the ROX drivers?
We almost needed some comic book music right there. Looks like Jason got on the apron a little bit, lost a little bit of time, but looks like his teammate's going to help him out. Now, what do you think, Randy? You think Jason and Jonathan are kind of content? Hey, we're on the podium. We got 2 and 3. Let's just ride this thing out to the end. Or you think they're actually going to try to attack Matthew?
No, not at all. They are not taking it easy. They're giving it everything it's worth before the end of the race. Now, they might be just sort of kicking it as we look at them right now, but no, Jason and John, they're going to race as hard as they can, even with each other when we get down to 5 to 10 laps to go.
Yeah, and let's not forget, we've got the ROX team manager, the Team Afterburn team manager, both in the commentary booth. This could get interesting on commentary as well. But we also, let's not forget that John Ailes currently scored in the 5th position. With Yves Warner being able to tag himself to the back of this group, John Ailes is only about a straightaway, less than a straightaway even, from losing that 5th position to Yves Warner. I see John Ailes coming past the start-finish line now. Matthew Lamberton doing the same thing now. So that gap is less than 4.5 seconds from John Ailes going down a lap to the leaders and losing that 5th position to Yves Warner.
And that may be another strategy that he may be aware of that. And one thing I do want to point out, though, Randy, is that there are 2 ROX cars on the lead lap and only 1 Afterburn car on the lead lap.
How disappointing is that, Will, that you only have 1 car on the lead lap?
That must be pretty disappointing for you, Will. Are you okay? You
Yeah.
be all right?
But when we consider the fact that 4 ROX races entered the race and only Two afterburn members of the race, 50-50, we're both even. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, as they got they got themselves 20 laps to go at the flag here. Matthew Lamberton is your race leader, with Jason Dunphy still sat in the second position, Jonathan Goke in third, Rene Murray in fourth, John Ailes in the fifth spot. He could lose that in the next 5 laps or so, as you see Jason Dunphy still putting the pressure on Matthew Lamberton in the number 19 Boy Scouts of America car, with Edwan in the 6th position, and then you have Giorgio Ponti currently in the 7th spot and last on the racetrack. And the race is really taking a toll on some of these drivers, but up front, the battle for the top 3 positions is still going on well. And Randy, I have to ask you, is it disappointing the fact that I was able to chuck statistics back at you?
Not at all, Bill, not at all.
I see there, Matthew Lamberton now putting the lap on John Ailes, and as he shuffles back, there we are, Edwan back up into the top 5. John Ailes relegated to the 6th position, and this is a tactic that I've used myself so many times. If you are laps down, you're fighting people, laps down yourself, you can just hook onto the back of that lead pack. As the choo-choo train comes along, you can actually just tuck in behind, and while the driver's being lapped on the outside line, you can just squeeze past them, job done. So I'm going to have to ask... Go on.
Good. Nope, you go.
I was going to say, with less than 20 laps to go here, can Lamberton resist the pressure from Jason Dunphy? He gets himself a little bit high. This is allowing Jonathan Goke to get himself back into the 2nd position. Jason Dunphy is going to be relegated to 3rd with less than 20 laps to go. And I'll tell you what, it's go time between these 2 drivers. But will Jonathan Goke be able to do something to try and attack Matthew Lamberton with 15 laps left to go at the line?
And we saw it once again, that apron. Jason just got a little bit tired out on that apron, and it moves him right up the track. Fortunately, it wasn't enough to collect him into the wall, but again, that apron is just evil here at Dover.
Yes, it is, but as close as you can get to that apron without touching it is the fastest way around, and that's why you see the drivers, to get those fast laps, they are dancing on that apron.
Yeah, just like Texas Motor Speedway, you want to get yourself all the way down to the white line, literally running on it, but don't go below it, otherwise you just lose all form of grip in your car. You'll be spinning around and hitting that outside retaining wall quicker than you can say anything else. Jonathan Goke right behind Matthew Lamberton, as we have got ourselves less than 15 laps to go of the Dover 400k here on Glacier TV. This battle is still going on. Matthew Lamberton is defending well from Jonathan Goke. He has moved himself up into the 2nd position. Jason Dunphy is in 3rd. And I tell you what, it looks as though Goke's trying to find a gap that doesn't exist at the moment as they come down the back straightaway. Really, really close racing between these 2 drivers, and it looks as though Matthew Lamberton really does have what it takes to hold him off for the moment. But as we enter ourselves, with less than just over 10 laps to go, this battle is far from over between these drivers, and with Goke being such an aggressive driver, he's going to try and find a way past if he can.
Boy, and looking at the lap times, it looks like the lead pack is probably going to catch a couple of lappers up there, so we'll have to see if that plays into the outcome of the finish of this race.
Looking to the high side once again, Jonathan Goke tucks back into the draft of Matthew Lamberton. Will Jason Dunphy try and help him on the outside line should he go there? You see Jason looking to the high line already, almost getting himself outside Jonathan Goke. These 2 drivers, if they work together, time and move properly, we saw about 20 laps ago how Jonathan Goke could get outside and get a nose ahead, but just wasn't able to get the job done on Matthew Lamberton. Will these 2 Aero X racers be able to navigate the high line successfully, as Edwan is still sat 4th in line, so he can still come into play to help his teammate Matthew Lamberton, even though he is 2 laps down on the racetrack. But I think he's going to want some kind of retribution from Matthew Lamberton earlier on, even though there was no harm, no foul there. But I think Jonathan Goke is trying to find a way past Matthew Lamberton, as we have got ourselves less than 10 laps to go. Goke just clipping the apron there. That's going to allow Lamberton to get himself a car length advantage. You've got the 2 cars of Giorgio Ponti and Rene Murray. They're going to go themselves laps down again. Well, Rene Murray's going to go down 1 lap. Giorgio Ponti's going to go down 1 more lap. And we've still got drama as we're approaching the last part of this race. And Doyle, things still hotting up here, and these lap cars are now going to come into play.
It just depends on how well they hold their line and whether they're going to hold up the leaders, and Matthew's going to get stuck behind one. And anything can happen here. You always get a little sweaty when you got lap cars, especially coming around the corners.
They managed to get... Go on.
I'm kind of noticing here, Randy, do you think that maybe Jason's car might not be quite as fast as Jonathan's? Notice Jonathan was suck up a lot better than Jason is right here.
I don't know if it's the difference in the setup or if Jason's just trying to save his tires for the last couple of laps to where he can gain that thousandths of a second and get underneath and make a pass. Good question, Doyle. I really don't know.
4 laps to go here at the Dover 400k, round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series presented by Glacier TV. Matthew Lambertson is still your race leader, holding on for dear life from Jonathan Goetz in second. Jason Dunphy in third, Rene Murray's in fourth, Heath Wanner in fifth, and John Ailes rounding out your top 6. And just look at that, Jason Dunphy just looking again to the high side, just waiting to see if there's anything else happening between these two drivers ahead so he can try and steal victory should something happen. Jonathan Goetz, as they come down, they're going to have 2 laps to go at the line. Does Jonathan Goetz have anything from Matthew Lamberton? They've got themselves 2 miles to go here at the Dover 400k. Jonathan Goetz closing. The gap is now down to less than 2 car lengths as they come through turn 3 and 4. And as they come through to pass start finish line this time by, the white flag is in air. Matthew Lamberton leading the field into the final lap. Jonathan Goetz sat in second position, and Jason Dunphy, will he see if he can counteract a move should Jonathan Goetz try and make one as they come down the back straightaway. Matthew Lamberton looks as though he's got himself perfectly set up for the finish, coming through turn 3 and 4 for the final time. Matthew Lamberton is going to win round 8 of the Afterburn IndyCar Series, the Dover 400k. Jonathan Goetz second, Jason Dunphy third, and the top 3 drivers separated by 17 100ths of a second there. Close finish at the end of the Dover 400k.
Excellent racing. That's what you like to see. You see teams working together. You see driver up front kind of holding his line, and the battle going back and forth. It just doesn't get much better than that.
That was a great 3-way battle up front. That was nice to see.
So hats off to Rene Murray as well for hanging in there, only a lap down in the 4th position.
Just a point of note, coming down pit lane, Heath Wanner just pushed Jonathan Goetz into the wall. So if there's any incident between those 2 drivers, it'll be interesting to see whether or not they're going to have an argument once this race is over, whether Goetz felt that he was being held up by Yves when he was laps down. But to run through your finishing result, Matthew Lamberton in the number 19 Boy Scouts of America Team Afterburn car gets race victory by 9 100ths of a second from Jonathan Goetz, one of the closest finishes in Afterburn IndyCar Series history. Jason Dunphy comes third, 17 100ths of a second behind the race winner. Rene Murray in 4th, Heath Wanner in 5th, John Ailes in 6th, Giorgio Ponti in 7th, Dave Jinks in 8th, Robert Carlson in 9th, Philippe Lambert in 10th, who led some laps earlier on under caution, Julien Pham in 11th, Joachim Politzner in 12th. David Ward, after a great start to this race, ends up coming home 13th after being involved in 2 incidents in the space of 5 laps. Jeffrey Kohlberger in 14th. Disappointing day for him. Disappointing day also for Randy Crosno in the number 4 Aerox Racing Machine. And then Andrew Aitken in 16th, Brian Simpson in 17th, and then Mike Larson last after completing 1 lap.
Yeah, and I feel really bad for Randy. That's got to be really disappointing for him today to finish in 15th.
Just a heads up. So just a very quick heads up that Jonathan Goetz is classified in the 2nd position, not Jason Dunphy. Just a little bit of an issue of our timing and scoring. Jonathan Goetz did indeed get ahead of Jason Dunphy across the line, so you can now carry on, Randy.
I'm not disappointed at all. That was kind of fun to be up in the booth and watch a really good race, especially at the end there. So thanks for having me.
So time to do a little bit quick post-race interviews. We're going to start with your race winner, Matthew Lambertson, the number 19 Boy Scouts of America Team Afterburn car, scoring your first victory this season in the Afterburn IndyCar Series. Close finish there. And how hard was it to hold off Jonathan Goetz and Jason Dunphy at the end of that race?
It wasn't hard because it's impossible to pass on this track unless someone makes a mistake, so I was just holding my line.
You say
It's hard to hold that tight a line for that many laps because the steering wheel was bouncing around so much, but besides that, it was easy.
You say that at one point, Jonathan Goke managed to get not only alongside, but get a nose ahead on the outside line with help from Jason Dunphy. But was that just the fact, you were just being a little bit cautious on that inside group so you didn't brush up into him? Or were you just, playing him a little bit to try and get his hopes up?
Because I was lazily driving around in fifth gear and not getting the most revs, so as soon as I saw him start to get away, I just started shifting, and then I had max revs the whole time.
So, moving on. Go on, Randy.
I'm sorry. Well, Matt, there was you and Eves had a great race going down there, and then it looks like you guys got tangled up a little bit, or Eves kind of lost it. What was your perspective on when that happened?
I think he just hit the apron. It was surprising. I got a good restart, so maybe he felt a little pressured, but I wasn't even planning on passing him at that point. I was just going to save fuel and hope I could get him on the last pit stop.
Well, congratulations, Matt. That was a very well-run race.
Moving on. Sorry. You can say one more thing, Matt. It's loud.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Moving on to second place.
Matt.
Moving on to second place finisher Jonathan Goke. Jonathan, that number 13 Sugar Plum Fairy machine did really well, getting himself up into the second position after some troubles earlier on. How hard was it to try and find a gap to see if we can take Matthew Lambertson?
Sorry, microphone was muted. Well, that's extremely hard. This track is pretty much just one of those conga lines. You just got to follow and wait for a mistake. And just want to quick point out that it is the Purple Fury machine, not the Sugar Plum Fairy. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Did we mess that up?
At one point, you did try and run the high line with Jason Dunphy and got yourself a nose ahead of Matthew Lambertson. Did you think that you would have had the opportunity to work the high line, or were you just, trying to force Lambertson to clip the apron and make a mistake?
Yeah, there was a chance there. I was just going to try to hold it as low as possible, but there's always a chance he could wash up, and that would have ruined both of our races. It's just not worth it. I'll take a second after being 2 laps down at one point.
And moving on to Pocono next week, a track that you're looking forward to at all?
Love it. Gotta love Pocono.
And Jason Dunphy, in your first race in the Afterburn IndyCar Series this year, you score yourself a solid top 3 finish in the Aero X Racing number 24 car. Good job by you, and it did look, for the most part, like you weren't really putting pressure on any of the drivers ahead.
Nah, my my plan at the beginning of the race was, since it's 250 laps, I was just going to hang out as long as I could stay up with the lead pack, be there for the end, and see how everything falls into place.
And you did, at the end of that race, manage to dive down and take the position from Jonathan Goke at one point until it looks as though you kind of got a little bit loose coming off of turn number 2, I believe, and then that allowed Jonathan to get back past underneath you. Were you racing Goke a little bit less hard, being a teammate, or was it just anyone takes it all?
I was pushing really hard one after Matt, and I went down and got a little too low and just clipped the apron. And once you clip that apron, that car gets real loose down low. And I was able to catch it, luckily, which let Jonathan underneath me. But I was pushing hard. I wasn't going to give him too much, but I wasn't going to take him out either.
And Eves Warner came home in the 5th spot, 2 laps down. Eves, it did look for a moment like you were trying to get your way back to lead that pack in the hope for another caution. And at one point, almost caused a caution yourself doing so. Just how much did you want to get one of those laps back?
Yeah, first of all, I was very disappointed, and then I tried to get my laps back. But when I realized these 3 guys, they were fighting, and I was 2 laps down, it would be very unfair if I tried to get my laps back, so I went back.
And moving on to Pocono next week, you've had yourself a pretty good run on the Oval so far, but you're wanting to try and get yourself back into a dominant position after winning the Oval Championship last year. Is Pocono going to be a race where you can get some of that momentum back?
Yeah, I'll definitely think so. When it works all together, I can get my top 3 positions. I mean, I'm still so disappointed about my mistake in that race. I had the most laps qualifying and fastest lap in the race, and I didn't manage to get the win. Yeah, I have to look next week, and next week is another chance, so I'll try then.
And actually, I'm going to have to disappoint you. You don't get, I believe, I have to check to see what the rules are, but you tied for the fastest lap of the race. So it'll be interesting to see whether you get the 2 points, whether they're shared 1-1. but good luck, good race for you as well. We're going to talk about the new tyre model in the Afterburn Social Hub after the race. So we're going to say goodbye to you now. We'll continue with this in the Afterburn Social Hub. So check that out on teamafterburn.com in a couple of hours' time. Meanwhile, we'll be back for round number 9 of the Afterburn Indycar Series, the Pocono 250 next weekend. And once again, I have to say a very big well done to Daniel Lee, who successfully completed the London Marathon early on today, in the process raising himself over £1,600 for MenCap. The MenCap London Endurance Challenge comes to you live from Brands Hatch Indy in just a couple of weeks' time, and if you're looking to race a one-off race in the Afterburn IndyCar Series, there is still plenty of spaces left for that. Meanwhile, for myself, from Randy Crosno, from Doyle Johnson, Yoni Backman and Jarno, and everyone at Glacier TV, we wish you all a very good afternoon.